two viewers.
I just wanted to talk to y'all. Hey, everybody! If you're watching, if you're not, sorry.
Queen City Picker.
And I'm joined by the silver hair stacker, Todd. So right now it's the two old dude show.
Because we can.
That's right.
And I have seen a razor since Tom has.
You know what? I was just looking at myself and I thought to myself, I really need to shave, but you know what? I'm not tonight.
It doesn't really. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, would you rather shave your face or have COVID? I think I would rather. I don't want to do either.
Well, you know, it's just a case where I just really don't care right now.
Yeah, I don't either.
Hey, Sally. You want the leak? Can you come in for a little while? I don't get to talk to y'all in the morning anymore.
Now, why is that?
Because my wife it has a desk that sits right there, and she's on conference calls and every dang thing else. And
hey guys,
I'm getting ready to break her that because it's probably going to, the way they're talking right now, she probably won't go back to the office till after the first of the year.
Tara.
Tom.
Hey, Tara.
Hi, Tom.
Hey, Beth. Beth, there's the link right above you if you want to come in.
I haven't talked to Tara in like 2 months.
No, didn't I talk to you a few weeks ago?
Nah, I don't know. Maybe I can't remember.
No, I was on Sally. Sally had the show one morning, and I popped on. Yeah. Whenever that was. I know I've been busy in the mornings.
It's been a while.
Yeah. We'll make the heart grow fonder. Oh yeah, I'm on with Tom, honey. I don't want your political stuff right now. I'm live on YouTube with Tom. Okay.
Oh, anyway. We don't mind political.
Well, he's over. He's watching the Atlanta thing. You know, the cops walked off. So
right.
This is what we sound like. Really, we're really lame people. Sometimes we sit at night and watch the riots, see what's going on. It's like a movie for us. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, there was a guy that
I heard that Norman, Oklahoma police got defunded. Norman, Oklahoma.
Is that rural?
Where's that at?
Well, it's real close to Oklahoma City, but Norman, I mean, just the fact that Oklahoma, it's a fairly conservative state.
Yeah.
How could they defund a police department?
I don't know. It's like, did you ever think in your life you would see this kind of stuff in the United States? I mean, I don't know. It's really, I mean, it's just really crazy. I mean, and I know like the 60s you had protests and stuff, which is before my time. But I mean, this is like way beyond that. I mean, it's weird times we're living in.
Things have kind of just gone to hell in a handbasket, you know.
I don't know. It is, honestly, it's a little bit scary. I don't know.
Well, around the big cities, yes.
Yes.
Out where I live, not so much. We're like,
we had, in this little town I live in, there was a Black Lives Matter, I think they called it that, march. And they got like a parade permit and they walked around like 3 blocks and that was about it. But they didn't do it. They didn't do anything naughty or that, which is fine, you know. As long as you're not like wrecking stuff or being bad, but actually it seemed like it was pretty. I looked at it on video. It was very quiet. They walked around maybe like a 5-block loop and went back to the courthouse and just stood around. So I don't know.
Yeah. The pretty much the Black lives in our town are very nice people. I love them. There's not very
Yeah.
many, but they're all just
We have,
wonderful,
well,
wonderful people.
from where I used to live in northern Wisconsin, I mean, we were like 99.7% Caucasian. So down here, there's a lot more African Americans, but they're all really nice. I mean, I don't know. I don't really judge somebody on what they look like. I mean, if you're a good person, I don't really care. But
Yeah.
I never really look. I don't know.
Everybody in my town is pretty much just good folks.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen a lot of white people. I'm a lot more worried about their, character versus somebody of a different ethnicity. Anyway.
It's just a big old mess. I have lots of opinions. I won't express them here because I might piss somebody off. But about the whole Wisconsin thing, if those 4 guys don't get life in prison.
No, that was in Minnesota, Todd. I mean,
was that Minnesota? Not Wisconsin.
Yeah, that's a different state. That's Minnesota.
That's right. Well,
that's a completely different state.
All those pasty white people up there, they all blend together after a while.
I will say this about Twin Cities, and that's where that happened, Minneapolis, St. Paul. And I've been there, and I will say, like, for an urban type metropolitan area, it's one of the cleanest, nicest cities I've ever been in. Honestly, it's better than a lot of parts of Milwaukee, Chicago, definitely. It's actually it's a pretty nice place, and it's a shame that they burnt that down. And I feel bad for the people that are in that area who now lost like their stuff, their box retailers or their drugstores and that, because I don't know if some of that stuff ain't gonna get rebuilt.
Yeah, one guy who lost a store said, and he was a black guy. He said, "Hey, Mr. Sadie," he said that he regretted or he hated that his business was burnt down, but his building has been paid for years, and the insurance money that he's going to get is not going to go for another business. It's going to go. It's going to not there. It's going to be going for relocating to another state, and then he'll start over there. And then hopefully he'll be able to sell the land that he has still up there. But he's,
But then how does that affect, when you think about it, how does that affect that area? Let's say it's a store or a factory or whatever. So it burns down. This guy, cashes his insurance money out. He says, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to go build somewhere else. He might sell that land, but now you have this like depressed land. It doesn't have anything on it. It's going to have a building that gets knocked down. It won't have the industry or jobs it was creating in the community before it was destroyed. So that doesn't really help you very much, so I don't quite understand the destruction.
Hey, Beth.
Hey, Tom, how are you?
I'm doing good.
I really loved your video. It was great.
Oh, well, I'm glad. I've got to work with my team here.
Tom did another video. Oh God, I gotta watch it now.
The one about
He did my challenge.
Yeah,
he did the 3 things about Tom that you didn't know.
Were you surprised I challenged you, Tom?
I was, because I didn't even think I was on your radar.
Hey, Tara. I put in the chat in St. Paul. My kids love looking for all the Charlie Browns. Have you done that in St. Paul?
No, I've been to Mall of America. I've been to Jim's son had was that like scoliosis of the spine?
Yeah, really.
Anyway, really bad. He went to Shriners Hospital over there. They did a great job. They put rods in his back. I mean, they like saved his life. His life was going to get shortened from it and that. So we would go once a year. He'd have to get this yearly checkup, and we would go downtown there to Shriners, and then we would go like to the Gary Olin store and stuff like that.
His spine X-ray looked like a question mark. I'm not kidding. He had the letter C in his spine.
Yeah, if it wasn't going to get fixed, he would have become a hunchback and not had a very long
We
life.
destroyed his organs.
Yeah.
Well, evidently Charles Schultz is from St. Paul.
Oh yeah.
And so all over St. Paul, they have different Charlie Brown statues.
Huh.
No,
I've never did that.
All different themes. And so my friend took us all through St. Paul, and the kids searched for all these little Charlie Browns. They had a great time. And then we would get them out and let them take pictures in front of them. And it was fun.
Yeah.
And it is very clean. You're right. I
was raised in Milwaukee County and then just north of Milwaukee. It's a lot cleaner city than like parts of Milwaukee. Like if you go in the downtown area, it was very nice.
I would drag Tara down to Armour Avenue where they have the meatpacking plants because they have the Sportsman's Guide store that Gary Olin runs. The Sportsman's Guide.
It's like a catalog warehouse, isn't it? Like it's discounted or whatever.
It's South St. Paul.
Yeah.
So anyway, we buy we go to the clearance and buy. They got a clearance store there, so we get buy stuff to resell.
No, that was before we were reselling.
We were reselling some.
Yeah, but after we already bought it, and then we decided we were going to start reselling. No, at that time.
Don't let me in yet. Don't let me in. Let me leave. I needed to respell my name.
Oh, okay. On Netflix, I think it was Netflix. They had a series about the Mall of America.
Yeah.
And that sucker is a city in itself. I swear that was.
Oh yeah, it was cool.
That was amazing.
I was there like in probably 95 or 96. I mean, it was pretty cool. I went on the like they had the log ride inside and stuff like that. It was cool.
But they were talking. One of the things I remembered about that you had to remember where you parked because you would get turned around so fast in that mall. I've always wanted to go up there, but I haven't made it up there.
I think they kind of had it not as big as Disney, but like Disney had like remember your Goofy Row 3 or whatever. I think they kind of had a little bit something like that. Right.
Yeah, I drive Roberta crazy because we'll go someplace and we'll be looking at something and I'll go, oh, there's a hidden Mickey, and she's like, that has nothing to do with Disney World. That's what it looks like. You were talking about looking for Snoopy all over the town, but how many kids do you have, Beth?
I have 2 daughters.
Are they grown?
Yeah, I have 3 grandchildren now.
Whoa. They better be grown.
27 and 30 this summer.
Wow. Tori, your oldest one's what, like 35?
I wish. 35 plus 10. No, or am I? No, I'm 47 now.
No, I said your oldest. He's about what, 35? Jim's
son was born in 1989. So is he 31? Yeah, because it's 2020, right? Yeah, he's 31, and then Jim's daughter was born in 91, so she's 21.
Lord have mercy.
And unfortunately, both of my daughters decided to get married 3 months apart. So our bank account was really bad. We tried to talk them into having a double wedding, and they wanted 2 totally different kinds of weddings. So
Jim has had a child under the age of 18 in his house since he was 22, and he's 55 this year, right? Were you 22 when
I was 24.
You were 24. So he's 24 when his first son was born, and he's had a kid under the age of 18 in his house since then, and he'll be 55 in July.
And dang,
Oh my
Jim's
God.
life sucks.
I got 6 years ago. I still got 6
That will age you quickly.
Yeah, and
Not
6
that
years
you look
ago.
old, Jim.
He looks pretty old. You don't have to sugarcoat it.
Beth, you say your two
Don't put
daughters
gray
got
hairs on
married
your
real
head.
close
Put it that
together.
way.
Beth, you said your daughters got married close together.
3 months, one in November and one in January. Yeah.
Todd, and you just got one to deal with, and you're bitching, and you don't have to say nothing.
How's
What?
that one getting married?
I mean, we were like, have a wedding shower together, or have a dress fitting together, or something together. No, everything was separate, and oh God, it was.
One of the guys I went to high school with, his daughters, he had twin daughters, or has twin daughters, and they married brothers. Now the brothers are not twins, but they married brothers, and they got married at the same time.
Yeah, my oldest is having an accidental big wedding, which sucks because we can't even have, the restaurants. We can't even have a rehearsal dinner because restaurants aren't taking reservations.
When's he supposed to get married?
Like August 8th.
Oh, wow, this year. Oh, yeah. Oof.
Yeah, so we're hoping to get a hotel, what do you call it, meeting room, and just have it catered in there because restaurants, none of them in Dallas Fort Worth area are taking a reservation to have a, you can't get like a party room or,
Right.
Yeah.
Well, why don't you have it in your ballroom that's attached to your house?
Well, yeah, but the wedding is 2.5 hours from my house. So
Okay.
Anyway,
Now, Tori, you would probably like this. When my niece Savannah got married, she got married outdoors, and it was hot.
Isn't it always hot in
hot.
the Carolinas?
Pardon me?
Isn't it always hot in the Carolinas in the
Oh,
summer?
it was hot that day, and she was married. She was married at this facility that was a big like stables,
Yeah.
and they renovated it, and it's now like where each one of the stalls would be was like where they had a table and chairs. It was real nice, but anyway, it was all outside. It was hot. My mom was sweating like I'll get out. All of us were. It was so hot. Which when my brother got married, my youngest brother got married way back yonder. We were young. They got married in his wife's parents' backyard, and it was really nice. But it was also in August, and it was so hot.
I can imagine.
And the groom, Terry, and all the groomsmen, which I was one of them, we went out to my dad's houseboat and spent the night and threw a party, and we couldn't have too much of a party because our cousin, who was about 11 at the time, had to go with us.
Jim went to a bachelor party on a houseboat once up in Wisconsin, and I had to drop him off. And when I picked him up, and I dropped him off at like 11, and I picked him up at 2 o'clock, he was already throwing up drunk off the back of the houseboat when I picked him up. They had this, was it like some kind of like spiked lemonade? And he just was sick as a dog. I mean, he wasn't even gone that long. It was like 3.5 hours.
It was absolute vodka in a cooler with cut up lemons and sugar. in this big Coleman cooler, one of these giant coolers. Well, anyway, yeah, we're scooping. Everybody's got their cup, and they're just scooping drinks out of this cooler. And I mean, yeah, it's like 90 degrees out. We're jumping off the top of the houseboat, swimming stuff. Yeah, I was pickled.
You're like you're gonna get COVID just dipping your cup in a cooler with a bunch of other people.
Swimming in that warm river and stuff with all the germs and
Yeah. No.
Yeah. My sister-in-law's older sister was the one that directed the wedding, and she said there will be no sunshades, and nobody better be throwing up in the middle of this wedding.
Oh my God,
So
Jim
I was so thankful that I have my prescription lenses had the they got darker outside. Because I'm gonna tell you what, it was tough out there, and we were afraid we were gonna.
I'm gonna have Jim tell you a really good story. Were you best man when you did the flip off the back of the truck? This one's actually good.
Okay. We start the groom. I'm like, okay, we gotta get to the church. His wedding's at like, I don't know, 1:00. He's like, oh no, I gotta say hi to a few of my friends, before the wedding. I'm like, all right. So all the grooms were all together. He stops. We start going to every bar in the county and doing a round of shots. And this starts at 10 a.m. By 1:00 when they do the wedding, fifth of liquor in my cummerbund. So anyway, during the service, so we get done and we just go all over the place. We're supposed to be doing pictures, so they're trying to track us down. I don't know about this, but I'm in the back of some jacked up pickup truck, holding onto the Nerf bar, or the roll bar that's got the spotlights on it. And the guy turns around in a gas station parking lot and takes off real fast. Well, it's got a bed liner, but the slippery kind, and I'm wearing those tuxedo shoes. So I'm in a tuxedo holding a Miller Lite shorty. I lose my grip. I slide to the tailgate. I'm about 6 feet off the ground. It clips me at the backs of my knees. I do a backflip. I land on my feet in the middle of the street, and this is US Highway 45. I land on my feet in the middle of the highway. Car behind us screeches to a stop. I just wave at him, and then now the church is only a block away, so I wave the truck off, and I just go running on foot to the church, and I finish I never spilt my beer. I held onto that shorty, and I drank it on the way back to the church. But I mean, how I didn't die, I'll never know. Because I mean, that truck was really jacked up. I mean, from asphalt to my head was a long distance, and I somehow landed on my feet. Later that night at the reception, the bride's mother actually it was kind of a half slap, half punch in the face. That tells you what kind of night it was.
But you know what they do when I got married the first time.
Yeah, it was this guy's first wedding too.
When my brothers got married, my mom had a nice little reception for the rehearsal party. They had lots of food and that kind of stuff. And, they had flowers on the tables and, it was nice. Nowadays, cheese and crackers, the groom's parents spend just about as much money as the bride's parents do on the wedding. And that sucks. Thank God I got three sons and no daughters.
Oh, don't worry, you gotta contribute when there's boys too.
Yeah.
Equal opportunity.
Well, that's what he was saying.
I mean, Todd, what are you living in? The old antebellum South, where you have you're waiting for your son to marry somebody with like a dowry and a hope chest and stuff.
That's right. I want those 12 chickens in the good.
Tom's sitting on his front porch dressed like Colonel Sanders. We're drinking a sweet tea.
No, that's Tom. That's Jim.
You don't dress like Colonel Sanders.
No, I sold my plantation saddle.
The one that lives on the big Kentucky spread.
Yeah, I wish I did. Oh, that's yeah.
Okay, you have got to be still.
I try and get those cats under control.
Cat
Cat wrangler.
I'm not talking to you, Tara. I'm talking to Roxy.
I might even have you on video because I'm doing a listing, and I know you're talking to those cats.
Okay. But oh Lord, I was
Yeah, no, we're into this wedding 10K and counting.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it don't take long.
And that's just our side. You know, we'll see.
I never
Or
wanted to spend. Well, we got married in the courthouse, me and Jim, and because I'm a cheap ass, I'm like, if I was gonna spend that kind of money, I'd rather own like real estate or a pickup truck or something.
yeah, that makes sense.
Roberta and I went to a friend's house, got married at her house because she was a notary.
Yeah.
And on the way home, we stopped. It was like a Golden Corral, but it started with a Q. We stopped there for dinner on the way home. Came home, went to bed because we had to both be up like at 6 o'clock in the morning to go to work. We both had big weddings, but when we got married the first time, mine was big, big, big. Let me put it this way: my ex-wife's wedding was big, 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 because her daddy's the one that's putting the blessing on it. And this would have been a lovely little addendum to my three things, Beth. Actually, the day my first wife and I got married, I got to the church and realized that I was driving my mom's car. I had realized that I had left her ring up under the front seat of my Mustang back sitting in their driveway. So I had to fly home and get it. And, of course, this was before telephones or cell phones. Cell phones. So everybody my mother-in-law, ex-mother-in-law was panicking because she was like, "Where's Tom at? Where's he at?" So that would have been a good addendum for you, that little story. So Todd says he's got too much stuff to list.
That's not a bad problem.
Tara, how did your auctions go? Did you win anything that
I
you
got
were
a little
bidding
bit of stuff. It was not that great of an auction.
That was a local auction, right?
Yeah, I'll pick it up Friday. It's right in town here. They do it. They're
Right.
just doing their stuff online, but it was a lot of just mediocre glassware. I mean, I got a few other things, but it wasn't like, oh wow, I did this. Anyway.
Yeah, I actually this morning when I was doing my shipping, I had some little model railroad train switches that I couldn't remember where I kept them, and then I remembered, and I started digging through piles of stuff, and I found some military surplus backpack frames that I haven't listed yet.
That you got last year?
2 years, ain't it?
No, it's like 2.5 years ago that I got those military surplus lots. I have so much stuff to list. Yeah.
There's the link in the chat if anybody wants to come in.
It's incredible.
We'll be happy now because I don't know how it is down by you, but like by me, I mean, auctions are very hit and miss here yet.
Yeah.
They brought back my Thursday one, but yeah, there ain't a lot going on. Oh, and it's so stupid. Okay, because not the people at the auction house, but this is just the crazy regulations they have. So when you go in the auction house, they spread the seating, fine. The stuff is laid out on tables, but they have like this caution tape because you can't go up to the tables and like touch stuff because otherwise they'd have to sanitize it in between each person touching it, So you can't look in the boxes, which sucks because you're relying on the auctioneer to like call out what's in the box or whatever. But I'm like said to Jim today, me and Jim are digging in the movie bins at Walmart. I'm like, look at this, me and you. digging in with our bare hands in these movie bins, touching all these movies where 300 other people have touched all these movies, and we can do this. But when we go to the auction, we can't touch any of this stuff.
It's completely different.
Anyway, it is completely
It's not
different.
the same thing at all.
Oh, okay. All right.
I was at the at a grocery store, and I wasn't paying attention, and I went down the wrong direction down one of the aisles. Do they have that where y'all live at, where they have signs that
Yeah.
say, okay.
Yeah,
I went down the wrong
Walmart's
way.
the-
This lady said, "You're going the wrong way." And I said, "Why are you talking to me? You just infected me." And she just stopped and looked at me. And I said, "I'm sorry, I just went the wrong direction." She didn't have any gloves on, and she was, picking up cans, looking at the directions. How many people have been looking at those cans? Have picked them up, looked at them. Now, I know in the shelf life of that stuff, the virus, like 3 days or something like that. But people are just, they don't really care.
Well, here, like they have the one-way aisles, but nobody listens to it. So even if I went to go, okay, let's make sure I go on the right end of this aisle, you'll have 5 people coming at you because they're going the wrong way, which honestly, I think if you just would have left it alone and let people move how they would naturally around the store. I mean, now you got like people like, they're all like confused in categories, so then they stop or block up or whatever. I think if you just let people move normal, they're not gonna stand on top of each other. I mean, I don't wanna, even if this wasn't going on, I don't like standing close to people I don't know anyway. So I think if you just let people naturally do it, they're just gonna do it. I mean, I don't know. I mean, you go to Walmart. Is it like, okay, I'm going to Walmart today. I'm going to stand as close as I possibly can to perfect strangers, while I'm shopping, I don't like it sometimes when Jim, like, I think he's somebody else. He comes up on me. I'm like, who the hell is this person right behind me? Oh, it's Jim. Okay. Anyway.
Tar didn't even like Jim within 6 feet of her. He might.
No. Because you should shop with Jim, and then you'd see why. Because he'll go, okay, I'll use this as an example. I took him to Kroger's. He hates Kroger's. He goes in there with you, and then he gripes about everything he sees wrong with the Kroger's, except then he stands like within 4 feet of you, keep repeating, can we go now? Are you done? Can we wrap this up? Are we going to go now? And I hate that when they like stand here like a parrot right behind you, like just chipping away, like, can we go? Can we leave? This
go to the
store has sticky floors. I use the bathroom and it's dirty. You need a Kroger's card to get the discount.
Kroger's? Oh man, it was bad.
Anyway, I can't go to any new stores with him. If it ain't Walmart, I can't. I mean, I would rather just go when he isn't with me. Except he's always with me, so I never get to go anywhere.
I buy my underwear at Kmart and I buy my food at Walmart.
Well, there ain't no Kmart here.
Well, you're just not buying much underwear these days, are you? Because Kmart's are all closed.
That's Rain Man.
Yeah, from the
remember Tom Cruise had to drive him all over the place to find a Kmart because he couldn't wear underwear from any other store but Kmart.
Okay, yeah, I saw Rain Man one time, and that was it. Dustin Hoffman played such a good part in that thing that I was a nervous wreck before I could get out of the theater. Yeah, I saw that in the actual movie theater with popcorn and everything.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
Yeah, our local post office, they put up those plexiglass dividers that's supposed to keep you from coughing on the clerk. And then I'm bringing in like 12, 15 packages at a time, and they don't fit through the slot in the plexiglass that they've got. So we're reaching around the plexiglass with the packages that I'm selling, and it's a joke, It's like, what was the plexiglass? Why is it even there? Because it's not doing anything. Because we're having to reach these packages around.
Well, I'll say I can say one good thing of the COVID, because when we were in Wisconsin, with the post office, our local one there, we were set up where we went to the back door, we'd get a cart, and then we'd roll our stuff in the back and say, see ya. We didn't have to go to the front counter. But then when we moved here, they didn't have it quite like that. So we were going back to the front counter with these piles of packages. So the COVID thing happens. You go in the post office and there's a line 50-foot long because everybody's standing 10 foot apart. You know, and I have all prepaid labels and they give you the dirty looks because they think you're like skipping them when you go set them on the counter. So they did open up a rear around the back door like thing to receive prepackaged labels. So now I don't even have to deal with the lobby part. I just drive around the back, put them in, and leave. So that's one good thing that happened there.
Well, our post office has like 4 counters, 4 people at the counter, and then they have this big long section that if you've got all your, if everything's already, you know, got its postage on it, ready to go, you just take it down there and you set it up on that end. Well, to do that, you have to walk by everybody that's in line. And I took like 10 packages in there and was unloading it. And this woman said, you know, you're within 6 feet and you're supposed to wait in line. And she's a very nice African-American lady that works in there. She said, sir, you're doing just like I told you to do. Have a great day. And the woman that was standing in line, she was like glaring at me and the lady that works at the post office because nobody
I did a whole video on that lady.
I didn't want to wait in line, and nobody that would have come in after me wanted to wait on me to have all my packages scanned. Because if I had to wait in line, they would have had to scan them.
I don't wait.
I did that whole video on that lady that verbally attacked me at the post office.
Wow.
Because I was putting my stuff on the shelf and she said I wasn't 6 feet apart and she started screaming at me. And then the post office worker started laughing and then other people in the line started laughing and I didn't know if they were laughing at me or her. she would not shut up.
Tears.
I did a whole video on it and my followers told me to write a letter. So because the post office worker had already lied to me the week before about something. So I did write a letter to the postmaster, but I never got a response. So,
yeah, I told this. I know I've told the story before, but for those who haven't, I took a package to the post office, and by the time, which is like 3 miles away from here, by the time I got back to the house and I looked at my computer, I had an email from the buyer, and they were saying, "Hey, Sally."
Hey,
They didn't say, "Hey,
Sally." I just wanted to say hi.
Bye, Beth.
Hi, Sally.
Bye, Beth.
Hi, Sally. Bye, Sally.
I just totally forgot what I was going to say.
You were talking about your package at the post office.
Oh, yeah. I dropped it off. By the time I got back to the house, I had an email from the buyer saying that it had been delivered and she didn't get it. And I went and I emailed her back. I said, I just dropped it off at the post office in Charlotte, North Carolina. And she lived in like a suburb of LA. So she said, well, check on it for me. And I said, I sure will. So I went back and drove back out to the post office and I actually spoke to the postmaster out there. And I said, look, I just got an email from this lady. And I showed him the email saying that my package, she hadn't received, the package had been marked delivered, but she didn't get it. And I said, I just dropped it off. You probably still have it in that bucket, those buggies they have back there. And he said, hold on a minute. And he went and called it up and said, yeah, they scanned it in as being delivered instead of received.
Oh, yeah.
So he said, do you think she would mind if I wrote down her email address and responded to her directly? And I said, I don't care whether she minds or not. How about copy me on it? So I can send it to, I can forward it to eBay if they have a problem. So he did. And by the time I got home, he'd already sent an email apologizing. It was their mistake, that it was, and he had went in and changed it from being delivered to being received. And he was real nice about it. because his wife also sells on eBay, and he knows how sticky people can be. So, Sally, you off tonight?
Yeah, I'm off for 3 days.
Ooh, vacation.
Get some stuff done.
Oh yeah.
I started to say a while ago.
Oh yeah, he's shedding bad. Yeah.
I
I
was
took
at
like a
Walmart.
4-hour nap this afternoon, so I'm gonna be good for a little bit.
You ready to go?
I was at Walmart and I talked to the lady back in the garden center that I know, and I said, "The shelves are starting to look a little empty back here. Y'all can't get stuff on the shelves." She said, "No, we're getting ready to start setting Christmas."
Oh my god.
Really?
I'm
And I
not
said,
ready.
"Really?" She says, "I've got 2 trucks out there with Christmas stuff in it."
Oh my
Hmm.
god. That's crazy.
Which is
I
about
am
right.
not ready for that.
It's about time for them to start prepping for that.
Scary. Well, yeah. I guess we're almost to July if you think about it.
Yeah.
I mean, our next holiday is July 4th, which is I don't think is almost like it's not even going to be that big a deal this year because everybody's canceling all their fireworks and that. I mean, personal family stuff.
Yeah,
Like if they have picnics.
our fireworks are usually like you know the towns around us, they switch off or whatever, and so one will hold it the day before, one will hold it the day after,
Yeah.
and one will hold it on the day. Well, they switched all of them to Labor Day.
Yeah, they just canceled them here till next year. And even like where I used to live in Wisconsin, because sometimes I look up there, they canceled all theirs till next year. They canceled our county fair. Like the horse shows, like Lexington Junior League. They're gonna have the horse show, but there's no spectators. The Kentucky State Fair, I think they're gonna have with limited attendance, and that's when the World Championship horse show is. But they're not gonna allow any spectators into the horse show. I mean, it's kind of insane. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
No.
When I went to Walmart today, I went to there's a Charlie's restaurant. I don't know whether anybody's ever been there or not, but it's a nice little sit down restaurant. I went by there. You have to drive by it to get to the Walmart. So there's an available sign out in front of it. So I went into the complex and drove around to the back of it, and there is no signage on the building. The weeds are about 4 feet tall.
Man.
I think their biggest business was always lunchtime because there's a lot of office complexes around them, and
Yeah.
I just think they shut it down. I mean, no business. They lost their busiest time.
They say, well, there's a lot of restaurants they say that are not going to make it through this.
They're falling
like
we're talking.
Rallies and Checkers are going to close like 150 locations or something.
Yeah.
Which our Rallies is not good here. I thought it was kind of dirty.
It's
anyway.
by the Kroger.
And Jim said the hamburger didn't taste. It is by the Kroger's and the hamburger didn't taste right.
There's a bunch of like mainstream franchises that have closed up here in Charlotte. Burger joints, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
We lost our KFC, but a Krispy Kreme's coming in its place.
But does he have a Lee's?
Do you have Lee's chicken by you?
We have one down in Rock Hill where I grew up, and yes, I used to go there for their chicken because it's good.
They just built a KFC in our town, but I don't really like fried chicken, but Jim likes Lee's better, so we always gotta get Lee's. My son calls it. Brandon's like, let's go to General Lee's for chicken. I'm like, it's just Lee's chicken, but okay.
Oh, great. Don't start that.
No, he does call it that, though. He calls it General Lee's chicken.
Don't
I'm like,
tear
it's
it
just
down.
Lee's. Yeah. It probably will have to have its name changed.
They have good fried chicken livers and gizzards too.
Yeah, Jim eats that kind of stuff.
I eat livers. I don't eat gizzards.
Oh.
Maggie says, I saw an article today that said over 100,000 businesses across the country have gone out of business.
No.
I believe that.
You know, people just don't. They just must not keep any cash back for hard times or anything like that.
Well,
Because we had some closing up here, and there were articles about them in the paper, and it only been a month. You know, that means that somebody just was not setting any money back.
Well,
in that industry, in restaurant, I think it's a high overhead industry. I could see where it could happen easily to somebody.
Well, I saw a video about this restaurant, this company that is making a robotic hamburger assembler.
Yeah. Because think about when they were shut down. Let's say you were a restaurant and you got shut down. Okay, that's it. Restaurants can't be open for the next 15 days. Now you have coolers with all your food in it or whatever, which I'm assuming because you're feeding more people, is thousands of dollars worth of food in your coolers. It's garbage. I mean, you're gonna lose it. You're gonna throw it away. So I mean, they did take incredible losses too when this all hit, if you think about it that way. I mean, I
don't think our fast food places have ever closed their drive-throughs.
No, ours were open too, but like a sit-down restaurant. Like, well, they did have curbside pickup, but I mean, I feel, you know what? Honestly, if you think about it, I mean, during that time, me and Jim didn't go out to eat, and not that I was necessarily scared of the COVID. But what's the difference if I'm sitting in a restaurant versus somebody I don't know preparing my food and me going to pick it up? I mean, I could get COVID just as easily that way. And I do think their business went down some.
Well, you know, there was an article in our local paper about one of the delivery services. They were just eating restaurants up in the delivery fees.
Yeah, I heard that. Yeah.
One company just said, we can't use you anymore. If people don't want to come get it, then they will just close the doors up until it's over with. Because just the fees were real high. I mean, like 55% of the order high.
Yeah.
We will overcome it. We will survive.
Well, I mean, it's like, think about when they did like the rent holiday or whatever. Oh, we can't evict anybody that can't pay rent right now. Because Jim's family used to do this. I mean, so if you have tenants that aren't paying you rent, okay, how are you making your mortgage payment? You think the bank is going to say, oh, yeah, don't worry, you don't have to make those mortgage payments for the next 90 days or whatever? Hell no. But that helps pay for that building. You know, you got to have the rent covering in to cover the mortgage. And you start digging, yeah, that hurts, I can imagine.
Did Jim ever have a chance to watch that movie I told him to watch?
Oh my God. I told him about that movie and you got him so mad. I had to listen to him gripe at me for like a half hour about that movie.
What, did he watch it?
No, not yet. He read about it. I mean, that's like, hey, okay, wait. Hey, Jim. Hey, come here once. How long did you gripe at me about that movie that Tom wants you to watch about the housing market? Oh God, you should see his face.
Probably about half an hour.
Yeah. What do you think about it? Do you think it? You haven't watched it.
It's got Steve Carell in it.
Okay,
so it's probably produced either in Eastern Europe or actually in the Russian Federation.
He plays a very good character in that movie. And there's another one called Margin Call. You need to watch it too. Your blood pressure will explode.
Well, he's going to tell you his little abbreviated housing market.
Earlier in that day, I had seen on the news they're calling for equitable lending. They're saying that some of the systemic racism problems we have in our country is from inequities in lending. That is what started it. They giving loans in areas based on race. And that doesn't work. I mean, economically, that doesn't work. And it's not going to work again. But they're already talking about doing it again. I'll have to watch the movie, but I don't know how much they touched on that. That was the reason.
Call it something else now. It's the same thing, but they call it something else now.
Yeah, well, it's what caused. I mean, well, but it's not actually. It's not the fault of giving loans to depressed areas. The problem was you had Barney Frank and Dodd decide we need to pop this bubble before it breaks. Well, who knew if it would ever gonna break? But they broke it because they reduced the amount banks could lend because they increased the amount of capital the bank had to have on hand to the point where most banks were already overextended when they changed the rules, so they had no money to borrow out.
So if you're on a 3-year arm, you were screwed.
Yeah, and so
a lot of people.
So when you came back to renew your loan in 3 years, which they were giving those out like candy, that you couldn't renew the loan, and you lost the place. That's where. Remember when you'd open up the paper and half the pages of the paper were foreclosures? That's what was going on. That was again like with the COVID. That was your U.S. government trying to help you.
So Tom, see when you suggest these type of movies to me, and then I'm like, hey Jim, Tom said you should watch this movie.
It, but as long as they're putting the blame where it belongs to the United States government, okay, yeah, I'll go along with it.
But then he saw Steve Carell, Brad Pitt, some other liberal actors, and then I had to sit here for 40 minutes minding my own business while he's at that computer lecturing me on this whole thing about the housing market.
Jim, you need to watch the movie.
Yeah, I will check it out.
There is one part in it, and I'm going to say this was just for the dramatic part of the movie. Steve Carell's character, he's a very serious finance person here now. He's not, normally he plays these dumbasses, a comedy type things. He is really he plays a really good part in this movie.
Oh my God, he is really mad at Steve Carell right now. So yeah, you do not talk up Steve Carell right now.
Okay, well anyway,
it's not an act.
He's talking to these 3 wheeling dealing lenders, brokers, and he's talking about putting together the pay verification, and they're laughing and carrying about what's that? He said, like employment verification, credit verification, and they're just laughing and having a good old time and says, we don't do that.
Well, but think back, because you lived in it. I took out a mortgage in the early 90s. If you had at least 20% down and decent credit, you were going to get a mortgage. Reverse that up to like 2009, 2010. It wasn't like that anymore. Even when they're pushing you over to government lending if you're a first-time homeowner, which is a pain in the ass. And the other thing is, income to debt ratio. No, you're not going to qualify, and that's it. Didn't matter if you had the 20% down. Didn't matter how sterling your credit was.
It mattered how much the bank had reserved.
Yeah, that's it too. Jim's brother's a bank vice president, and so we kind of got and you know what the bank was doing? They were buying U.S. bonds,
treasury notes
for like, what was it? And they were making
like 0.5%.
But it was
millions of dollars, so it was able to keep the bank. They laid off a lot of people, but it was able to keep the banks afloat because they weren't giving out home loans anymore. And that's everybody's largest asset, which is most people's largest asset, is their home. It took the home and devalued it by like 2/3.
Yeah.
We had Bank of America, we had Wells Fargo, somebody else, and then we had it's a mortgage company, a big one, not Lending Tree, something like that. Anyway, and they all went to hell in a handbasket.
Do we chase everybody away talking about this?
Do I?
Do we chase everybody away?
You called me in. I was in there.
No. It's Tom's fault. He brought it up. He said, "Did Jim watch that movie yet?" I'm like, "Wait, now I've listened to this for a half hour already."
I call this a chin wag. I haven't talked to you people in months.
Jim is so mad at Steve Carell that he stopped watching Space Force because Steve Carell was involved with that You know, where
they stole all that money that was for bail.
They raised like $30 million for bailing out protesters. You know, like, and then they raised 30 million, but they only used 200,000, and now there's questions like, where's the rest of the money? And they're all like, what? Anyway. So,
scam alert.
So Jim's all wound up about that, and we better not get too political.
Yeah, don't get me started with John Cena either.
Oh God.
Anyway, you watch that movie and Margin Call. They're really good, and they're really. I'm sure it's all about the drama. You know, making the drama more.
Is it as good as Wolf of Wall Street? Because if it's not as good as Wolf of Wall Street,
I like Wolf of Wall Street.
I love Wolf of Wall Street.
I want to have a helicopter.
You know, back before I retired, in my office, I'd get these stockbrokers call and say, "We got some deals and whatnot," and I'd say, "How much have you bought?" How much have you bought? Well, I haven't bought any yet. Then why are you trying to sell it to me if you haven't bought any of it?
I knew somebody that got a big insurance settlement because a building, their bar burnt down. And then he went and day traded it, and he lost most of the money and had to borrow money to rebuild the bar.
Damn.
Yeah.
But I'm sure there is, if somebody wants to talk reselling, I'm sure there is a reselling, some live somewhere talking about reselling.
Probably. There's an auction tonight, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's always an auction going. Somebody's always got
True.
it.
There is a lot of YouTube auctions now.
And I've heard lots of different reviews on all the products they get, or the product they end up with.
I guess if you enjoy it and have fun with it and are happy with it, go get her.
I told Nikki she needed to do with for all that stuff that she keeps finding in her storage unit. She's like Todd. She just keeps finding stuff that she bought 2 years ago.
She's got good stuff. Nikki's got good stuff. I always tell her, you should list that stuff on eBay.
Yeah, she showed some.
Hi, Tom. How you doing?
Hi, Brandon.
Yeah. You're not going to come over here with your underpants on, are you?
Sarah cannot. I do.
Sadie.
Hey, shoot, go away.
T-shirt and underwear too. Hey, Mr. Sadie.
How far?
How far?
Oh, hey, Mr. Sadie.
Sorry, you're missing your guy live on Hannity.
Oh, really? What's on Hannity? Oh, man, it is Hannity time. Oh, Todd's really screwing up my night.
Yeah, Trump's on tonight, guys.
Well, no, Hannity's on. It's got to be, Jim's probably watching the protest.
Well, Fox News is starting. It seems to me like it's going a little on the left side.
Well,
Like,
if you watch Tucker Carlson and Hannity, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
I don't know who you're watching. You're probably watching that, what's that, Cordova or Corduroy or whatever his name is. Yeah, stay away from him. And stay away from the guy that's on Sunday morning. Stay away from him.
You're probably watching The Five with Juan Williams.
Huh?
What is that?
Laura Ingraham. She's okay. Yeah, but at least she's not liberal. Anyway.
It's just a freaking mess right now.
Yeah, the world's gone insane.
But when I'm feeling down, when I'm feeling blue about this whole situation, I go to YouTube and I start rewatching the election results from 2016. And I feel so much happier. Watching all the crying and carrying on.
Yeah.
I guess I'm just a glutton for punishment, but it just makes me happy. You got a dog?
I just really can't believe it. I mean, I just really it's like a surreal event. I mean, when I watch like those like cities burnt down, or I mean, it looks like Beirut or something. Or in Seattle, you have the 6 blocks that are the chop zone, autonomous zone. I mean, who'd ever thought you'd had something like this?
Mm-hmm.
We lost $115 million by not having that damn convention here.
Oh yeah.
It's going to Jacksonville. I think they're going to have one day here.
Oh yeah, they are. Did they take it down to Jacksonville? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, now they're all worried about, when the rallies start that they'll spread the COVID. I'm like, what the heck's the difference between these people walking around protesting? Oh, they don't spread COVID because they wear that rag on their face, but the Trump rallies, the COVID's just going to go crazy at it.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I mean, they talk out of like both sides of their face. I mean, sometimes I kind of wonder if the media is like, oh yeah, we sound really like a bunch of hypocrites, but oh well. Anyway.
They sound like a bunch of idiots half the time.
Yeah.
So, Norman, Oklahoma defunded their police department. Oklahoma.
Yeah. Well, there's a good thing about the police department. They protect both sides. Because when you don't have law enforcement, to, intercept criminal behavior, they protect the criminal. You want it like the Wild West, I mean, then people are really going to be getting shot. But the next thing they'll go after is gun control, because you can't have people getting shot.
A friend of mine has a business over in the kind of right on the edge of the dodgy side of Charlotte, and when he gets work under him behind his counter, he's got 3 shotguns and several pistols. You might walk in, but somebody's gonna carry you out. He is not playing games. We have
these stores here. They're called Rural Kings. They're like, but they have a pretty good gun department. They're like just about sold out of guns. They don't hardly have anything left, really.
Yeah, gun sales are through the roof everywhere, right?
Yeah, gun and ammunition.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Sadie, he gets out there picking anti-gun, so he don't have any guns at his house. What's all those numbers on that whiteboard behind you, Mr. Sadie?
It ain't anti-gun time.
Yeah. There's a Glock or something he just pulled down.
I'm doing a listing, so I don't see it. Hey, good for you. You never can be too ready. If you waited until now to buy your gun,
I'm anything but anti-gun.
You're right, David.
Everybody I know has been buying ammo since they were old enough to buy it. In St. Louis, they could defund the police and that wouldn't be much different because after Ferguson, the police won't show up anyway.
Oh yeah.
They don't show up. When they do show up, they won't do anything. They're afraid. They're either afraid to go into these neighborhoods because they're so crime ridden, or they're afraid when they go in there they're going to make a bad choice and get chastised for it. So it's a no-win situation.
Yeah. Well, like this guy in Atlanta that ended up shooting.
I won't go down that road.
They're bringing up murder charges on him. So
right.
You do your job, and this ends up happening. But now you're going to go through a murder trial and possibly go into prison or whatever. I mean, it's a pretty hard thing. I mean, Jim's oldest son is a sheriff, a Milwaukee County sheriff, and he wanted to get on Milwaukee County versus Milwaukee Police Department, because Milwaukee Police Department, if you end up having to shoot somebody, let's say somebody drew a gun on you, and you're standing there with 3 officers, Jimmy's like, they'll hesitate. Who's going to shoot them? Because the person that shoots them is going to be put on a desk for 30 days and then lose his job. That's it. You're automatically going to lose your job. It doesn't matter. He goes, so all you do is cops are just scared to do anything. They just stand there. They're scared, because they know I'm going to lose my job or I'm going to get prosecuted or whatever.
That's how it is here too. Since Ferguson, it's just everything's changed. It's gotten so bad around here. Crime is through the roof around here.
Yeah.
I keep these on my desk as a reminder. These are this is an AR-15 and an AK-47 round.
Oh no.
I got in it between two gangsters one day. They had a little shootout downtown St. Louis where I worked.
Oh wow.
And I was out front of my shop cleaning my boss's bus. We picked up over 250 rounds.
Wow.
And I don't know how I made it. I don't know how I made it out of it.
Well, God was on your side.
Wow.
I've been to St.
I
Louis.
got the whole thing on videotape, and the cops came. Have you?
Huh.
Yep. We went in, we went to the Gateway Arch, and then we went out the other side of town. That's the only thing we saw that I can remember us seeing is we went to the Gateway Arch, went to the top, listened to the little spiel down in the museum, and then we went to my dad's cousin's house that lives over on the Lake of the Ozarks.
I've driven past the St. Louis, but I've never been in the Arch. I've been to the Ozarks because we would go down to Arkansas a lot. When I was a kid, we'd go down to the Ozarks.
It's not much of a city anymore. It used to be a thriving place, but there's not much left to it. And it's a great city. I love St. Louis. I've lived here my whole life.
That's too bad.
It's, you know, and what's bad is there's several cities in the Carolinas that they're that are just about, the police force is about 90% African American, and that's like the head of the police, the chief of police, everybody, and they're just having a hell of a time trying to pick a side.
Hey,
So
Craig,
is Kansas City the same way? You're not, St. Louis isn't that far from Kansas City.
No, about 4.5 hours.
Oh, is it that
Yeah,
far?
because St. Louis is on the Illinois side, right?
Yeah, we border Illinois basically with the city of St. Louis. It's right between, the Mississippi River separates us.
East St. Louis is in.
Is East St. Louis in Illinois? Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't y'all know your geography?
Don't worry.
I don't. Obviously.
That's where Clark Griswold got his hubcap stole, Tara.
There was a science fiction show, and it was based in St. Louis, and the Arch was part of the, like a main focus of the show. And I can't remember what it's called, and if anybody that remembers, shout it out. But anyway, I was listening to somebody on the local radio, and they were on a talk show here, and he was talking about he lived in St. Louis, and he says it's headed in that direction right now, and we haven't been invaded by aliens.
The wife's
Okay,
in
Jim,
Branson with the
I'll be
grandkids.
looking for you next time.
Yeah.
Well, y'all just got to stay safe.
Yeah, I feel for anybody that lives in the city right now,
Well, I don't live in the city anymore. I live in the suburbs, but I work in the city.
Yeah. But generally, if you end up having to live down there right now, I mean, that sucks.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And if you don't know your way around or haven't lived here long, you got to be careful. I mean, it's just honest to God truth.
Yeah, you make a left-hand turn instead of a right-hand turn, you're in the area that you don't want to be in most major cities.
When I was a kid, I lived down by Milwaukee, and me and my friend went to this thing, the Haunted Mansion. It's like Halloween time. And we get out of there, it's around midnight. And it's kind of in the downtown district. So she pulls up behind somebody, and it's a stoplight, and the light turns green, and they don't go right away, and she blows her horn. Okay, she's driving this little shitbox Fiesta. It's new at the time, but it's a total dorkmobile. So we go to the next block, the next stoplight, another red light. These guys pull up alongside of us. They get out of their car and open up their trunk. And I'm like, yeah, just go. And she's like, she goes, but it's a red light. I'm like, who cares? I would welcome a cop pulling us over right now. Just go. So she goes through the red light. There's like no traffic. It's midnight, 1 a.m. And we're about 2 blocks from the freeway. They followed us for that 2 blocks, kind of driving stupid. But when we got on the freeway, they didn't follow us on. And I'm like, oh my God. Because all I'm thinking is when they open that trunk, I hope they don't like have guns in there and they're going to shoot us or something. Anyway.
Right.
We had a situation here where a little old lady pulled up behind a car and they were on their cell phone or something. And the light turned to green, and she gave them a minute. Then she tooted their horn, gave them a little toot. And they got out of the car and came back there and started shouting at her. Apparently, she had a Glock sitting between the edge of her seat and the console in her car, and she pulled it out and said, I know how to use this. And they got back in their car and left.
Right. Well, back in the day, I drove a cab in St. Louis for a little while.
It's all going to work out.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know either.
It's the Duchess of Sussex. It's all her fault.
I used to believe it would all work out.
It's about 60 miles from here.
Do what?
Fort Hood, Texas is about 60 miles from here, and they want to rename it.
Yeah.
Because it's named for a Confederate general.
Who?
There was Confederates in Texas? What?
Yeah. Believe it or
not. Some things they just don't teach in school.
Yeah. I honestly didn't even know that Fort Hood was named after a Confederate general.
Yeah, it's just the history of America is just being torn down.
Yeah.
I don't expect.
So they're pulling down Christopher Columbus. They pulled down a Thomas Jefferson, I think, like in Seattle, maybe. They graffitied up a George Washington. I mean, it's just all of them now.
How much longer can Stone Mountain, Georgia last before they
It's on private land. That's the problem with it. It's on private land.
Yeah.
If that was public, it would go.
Stone Mountain, Georgia is a private?
Yeah.
Yeah.
God
privately
bless you.
owned. There's another one. There's another thing in Tennessee where they have this big, super big statue of Bedford on a horse. And he was a Confederate. And you can see it from the freeway. And they want to like plant trees to obscure its view because it's on private land and they have no way that they can make the person remove it.
What? We need to repeal the First Amendment.
Okay.
Yeah, they're just taking down all of these Confederate memorials of monuments, and they're
well, when they destroy them,
just stick them in warehouses.
When they destroy them, to me that's actually like kind of a sin. I guess if you want to take them out of
because
the state
they don't own it.
Yeah, when you take it out of the state capital,
private donation.
Put it somewhere else and maybe like put it in the context where people can learn from it or whatever, write a little history about, what this person did, maybe why his views weren't right. They just took down Jefferson Davis here, the Kentucky state capitol building, but they didn't put him in storage. They're moving him way out to Western Kentucky. He was born like in Fairview or something, and there's some kind of museum there for him. They're going to put it out over there.
You know what? It would make more sense to me if Mexico wanted Texas back than all this stuff that is happening now.
Yeah. Well, they took down the Castleman statue, and he was, I don't know if he was a general or just a captain in the Confederate Army, but he like started the whole park system up in Louisville, and like while he was running it, he didn't have segregation in the park during that time. So you're talking late 1800s, early 1900s, and he was like the start of the American Saddlebred Horse Association. But now, I mean, I guess I'm glad they took it down because I think it would have got destroyed up there.
You know, I'm not, slavery was a terrible thing to do to people.
Yes.
But if it had not had happened, there's a lot of African American inventors that propelled this country forward, and they would not have been here, and their parents would never have met. That doesn't condone what went on, but that's a major portion of our history that
it was a different point in time. And I think like some of the people that chose to fight for the Confederacy maybe didn't necessarily fight because they're worried about preserving slavery, but it was like, well, I'm from Louisiana, so Louisiana decided to succeed. I have to be loyal to my state of Louisiana, and that kind of put them on that against the Union too.
Yep. My great-grandfather was a Confederate soldier.
What state? In Texas or a different state?
Georgia.
Oh, Georgia.
Yes. And
I mean, no.
Because he could read and write, he was a messenger, which many Georgians, white folks at the time, could not read and write. But what are you laughing at, Tom?
I said still can't.
Yeah, still can't. But yeah. Does that make me a racist because my great-grandfather was a Confederate soldier?
No.
But see, you know what? It was all about greed. That was the whole driving force behind it. Because
my great-grandfather never owned a slave in his life. Why did he?
Neither did we, because we came in after my family came to the country after the whole fact.
Yeah, I didn't have any family here until after the Civil War.
And then we were too poor.
I will say there was a lot of, but if you look through history, there's a lot of atrocities to all races throughout history.
Yeah.
Because like my great-grandmother would have left Poland probably it wasn't even Poland then, just like they identified as Polish, but split up between Russia, Germany, and Prussia. But she would tell stories from her mother how because this is the Napoleonic Wars, the French troops would go through, and she goes, yeah, and they always wanted the best of everything, the best food, the best women, the best everything, wine. She goes, but when the Russian troops would come through, the girls would go out in the barnyards and try to bury themselves in the manure piles just to try to keep the soldiers off of them. I mean, can you imagine living, like, dealing with that kind of stuff too?
Yeah. Well, one of our largest slave owners in South Carolina was a black man who was a former slave himself. He was freed by his owner, who was a furniture manufacturer, and when his former owner died, his wife freed everybody, and he went out and he started his own furniture company, and went down to the Battery in Charleston, South Carolina, at the slave market, and bought him some slaves, and came back and he got rich off of it.
Wow.
It was all greed. The color didn't really have a thing to do about it. It was taking advantage of what?
Oh boy, that's gone crazy. I read something interesting because when they were taking down that Jefferson Davis statue, I did actually read about Jefferson Davis. And he was a Southern Democrat, and actually he didn't want to secede from the Union, but when I think he was in Mississippi at the time, when Mississippi seceded, he went with his state. So after the war, he lost his U.S. citizenship, but he got it back after he died. And I thought it was kind of interesting that Jimmy Carter gave it back to him. So I personally think like this old Southern Democrat, the old Democrats are trying to erase their racist past with their Southern Democrats by taking all this stuff down.
Yeah.
I don't know. You just can't erase history, though. It's like,
And I agree. Well, remember when the Union won the Civil War? Well, I guess Todd probably remembers because he was still there. But Abraham, in the books, isn't it said Abraham Lincoln didn't want to he wanted to bring the South back into the Union with some dignity. They didn't want to have war crimes on them. They wanted to bring them back in as U.S. citizens. And then, of course, when Lincoln got assassinated, they went through some hard times there. But I mean, I think part of that was we're going to give them some of their memorials to honor, their generals and stuff because we want to bring them back in. We're trying to heal this divide in this country. I don't know. I don't think those memorials were put up like, oh, we really want to have slavery back and we want to look at General Lee there so we know that at one time we had slavery. I don't think they thought about that stuff when they put those statues up, really.
Yeah, I mean, but this past summer, about a year ago, the wife and I went and visited Gettysburg, and there are practically there's memorials all over that place, but none really to the Confederacy or the Confederate people who lost their lives there. And how many thousand Confederate troops lost their lives there?
Yeah.
But it's all memorials to the Union and the different states that participated there.
Yeah, Vicksburg's a little bit. We did Vicksburg, and I would say we didn't finish the whole park, so I don't know if I missed them, but the Union monuments, they were much more prevalent and a lot larger than any Confederate
monument. And yeah, like the New York and the New Jersey memorials at Gettysburg and the Massachusetts and the Vermont memorials at Gettysburg were just enormous. And nothing much for Georgia or South Carolina or Virginia.
Yeah.
I mean, other than the mention of how many Confederate troops were dead there. I don't know.
Well, I look at the Civil War a little bit like this. I'm like, the Union won. The country we are in right now is based a little bit on that winning that Civil War, the changes that happened after the Civil War. Those people that fought that, those hundreds of thousands of white Union troops that fought that war, they won. So why are you digging this old stuff up, that it's still based on I don't get it. Anyway.
But you know what? During the Industrial Revolution, the people that worked in all these mills and steel plants and stuff like that, they might as well have been slaves because they treated them basically like it.
Yeah.
And children worked in dangerous spots in these mills. So it's quit your whining and move on. Because somebody's been taking advantage throughout history. I mean, the Romans conquered just about all of Europe.
Hey, how many white European slaves did the Romans take?
Yeah. I mean, they conquered just about all of it. I mean, you can go to England now and still see aqueducts that they built.
Yeah.
So, do we tear down the pyramids because they were built by slaves?
Yeah.
That's
Right.
Well, here's something like more current history. Do we tear down like the concentration camps or the atrocities that happened there? They still tour them and they use it as a learning thing to realize what a horrible thing happened in that area, in that place. You know,
Yeah,
do you tear them down and bury it like a cat turd and pretend it didn't happen?
yeah. Mike said a lot of former slaves continued to work for their former owners after the Civil War. Yeah, because they had no place to go.
Yeah, they turned into like sharecroppers and stuff, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, which was in a lot of cases worse than slavery.
Yeah.
Anyway, Sadie hadn't jumped in
We
here
just
in a
have a
minute.
lot of people. We have a lot of people that have had it too easy on the back, because
I feel the same way you do, Todd. I just don't see how we can just erase our history. I mean, our children need to know, how we got to this point. And
well, what's going to happen
even
next?
if we do it in a different manner,
Are they going to take down these battleground
Right,
parks?
exactly.
Gettysburg's next. Is Vicksburg next? Lookout Mountain. I mean, you got to take down all this stuff too,
Charleston, Savannah.
Right.
You walk in those places and it's the historical areas. It's everybody knows that most of it was built with slave labor. Are you going to start tearing down people's places? People will start killing your ass down there. They will really start having a gun war down there.
Are you very close to Fayetteville, North Carolina, or not really? Or is that
not really? It's about
west of you?
See, Charlotte is in a crazy place. You can't just like to go to the east coast of North Carolina. There's just not a straight shot. It's either you got to go up through Raleigh, or you got to go down through Columbia, or you got to go through the boondocks, which takes forever to get to it.
I saw something.
It's about 4, maybe 5 hours to
I saw on Diamond and Silk where they had this Fayetteville Market House or whatever in the center of the city, which was built like in 1829 or whatever. So they were going to try to burn it down because slaves built it. I'm like, I don't know.
It's all going to die out just like it always does.
You think so? I don't know. I mean, did you ever think it would get this bad?
That's because of the people that we have that's doing all the, and it's just not African Americans, it's the white spoiled brats that think, I don't know.
Well, these are people looking for a photo op, in my opinion. They don't have any idea what they're out there doing, and they could care less about the cause. I agree with some of Black Lives Matter's ideas, but then they take it so far left that it's craziness. The idea of police reform, it doesn't sound like a terrible idea to me, and probably most of the people in America would agree we need to reform the police.
Yeah.
But then they want to take it 18 steps further to the left, and next thing you know, we're getting rid of all police, and we're doing this. It's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, what happened to that George Floyd in Minneapolis? That was an atrocity. That was horrible. That shouldn't have happened. Where you kneel on somebody's neck for 8.5 minutes and they die.
But every one of these things was caused by somebody breaking the law.
But in Minneapolis, I got to
that,
say this, because I was next to Minnesota, extremely Democrat liberal city. So you have problems in your city, in your Democrat city.
Yeah, but I think what's next?
Locust.
What is it? The killer bees or the giant bees or some crap like that?
Locust.
Hornets.
The moon turns the shade of blood.
Iran and North Korea get into it.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, seriously, what's next? Do the Japanese Americans now revolt and want to take down America because of
Well, they definitely would want to
war?
pull out anything that would memorialize FDR because he did put him in internment camps.
Internment camps?
Yeah.
Or Latino Americans? They want to tear down
You have
the
to ask me in
Alamo?
November, God.
Huh?
You have to ask me in November what's next, because if this Joe Biden wins the presidency in 2020, we're all in big trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree.
And that's not saying Trump's
the
the
other
truth,
thing, because I said
but Biden's off the rails.
I said this to Jim. I'm like, so they're worried about
Go ahead.
racism. Look at some of the stuff that Joe Biden has said. I mean, and they just kind of let that go. You know, okay, old Joe said something, a little bit racist again. Just let that go.
Mm-hmm.
He's a joke. Everybody makes fun of him. Some of the stuff that I forward, it comes from a friend of mine that's a Democrat. You know?
Joe Biden is senile. I mean, he shouldn't be. And I don't mean that like to make fun of him. I mean, part of me kind of feels a little bit sorry for him because he's senile.
Here's the deal. Here's how it's going to go down if he wins. He's going to end up running with a woman for vice president.
Oh yeah,
and
definitely.
He's going to end up He's going to resign because of his health, and she's going to become president. So the Democrats can have the first African American president and the first female president.
Well, who do you think he's going to take?
I don't know. I think they're all crazy as a damn balloon.
Because I heard that like Stacey Abrams is not on the short list anymore.
Was she the one in Atlanta?
Yeah, at Georgia. Yeah, I think Kamala Harris is still on. I'd have somebody. Oh, that is it Susan Rice, who is like in the Obama administration? She's on. It wouldn't surprise me if he takes her.
Oh, not you. I was hushing him. Tara, go ahead.
I'm just amazed that they're.
Ended. I'm sorry. I think that was the only two females of color I could think of. I don't know if there's another one or not.
Let's see, Maggie says
I just can't believe that they're
never on the list. She was never contacted at all.
What were you going to say, Mr. Sadie?
I was just going to say, I can't believe that Joe Biden is the very best they got after 3 years to get this thing together.
No,
it just amazes me that after three plus, they put him out there like this is our very best. We've thought long and hard about it, and we've come up with Joe freaking Biden.
Well, I think you have a problem in the party. I think the problem with the Democrat Party is you have this split where they're going very socialist, very extreme liberal. And I think the Democrats realize that they're losing their middle of the road voters. I mean, I really believe part of the reason Trump won is you have what I would call middle of the road voters that just didn't align with the Democrat Party anymore. They kind of were losing those voters. And I think for some crazy idea, they think like Joe is middle of the road enough to kind of bring them back into the fold. But I mean, like stuff's going so crazy right now. I can't see how that's going to happen.
Yeah.
My opinion is that they're just fielding a candidate because they know they can't win.
I hope not, because holy Christ, if he wins, I mean, good grief.
Oh, it'd be bad. Yeah, I agree, Tara.
Yeah, I mean
bad news if this guy wins.
That's the reason I've been saying people need to be they need to be stockpiling money and everything else, because if he does win, it's going to get bad. But this is not
Instantly, I believe.
1950. This is not 1935. This is not 1950. This crap will not last long. This socialist crap will not last long, because too many people have had whatever they want. They go out, they work a job, they take their money, and they buy what they want. And that's not the way it's going to work. When we went to Russia in the 1998, the stores, you still walked in like it was 1940s. You walked into a store and you walked around the edge of the store, and people behind the cabinet put stuff that you wanted in a basket, and then when you got all the way to the other end of the store, you paid for it, and then they put it in your hand.
Wait, is that how they did it in Russia? Because I feel like I did that in Walmart just last week.
No, you never touched anything. It was always behind the counter, or on the wall behind the counter or whatnot, like Little House on the Prairie.
Like a Canadian liquor
You just
store.
described every gas station and restaurant in America.
When you think back to when this COVID thing started, I mean, I'd be like in Walmart, and even now, because we'll have like parts of the aisle where they're sold out or not stocked. And it really amazes me because, I mean, you just don't expect to see that in Walmart. Walmart's just always stocked with everything. You don't have to, if I went into Walmart a year ago and wanted to go buy ground beef, it was there. It was always stocked. And now it's like, oh, well, they're out of ground beef today and there's no pork chops. I guess I'll have to get chicken or something,
It's because they were putting all their labor to getting food out, because they couldn't keep enough people. One of the managers at one of the Walmart that I know, he's like, we're just going through people. We can't hire people. People don't want to go to work. And he said, we've got pallets of stuff back there in the back that needs to go out on the floor that they can't get to. And so they were putting all their efforts into keeping the food section, the food and toilet paper and paper towel section stuff. They were trying to keep it stocked.
It wasn't like that here. I mean, there was not really much for toilet paper, I would say, for 3 to 4 weeks. I mean, I had enough early to weather through it, but yeah, there wasn't much here. And like even now, if I like today, I went to Walmart. There's like empty in the food section. There is, empty spots. Like if you wanted peas, there's no peas there at all. They're just gone.
They haven't had the automotive section open in months.
Ours just opened. Like maybe 2 weeks ago, I think.
But I could go into a grocery store, or I could go into Walmart, and there would be just as many people in there.
Yeah.
Nobody would know, and they were shopping for everything on the face of the earth.
Yeah.
Nobody was staying at home. I mean, there were people staying at home, but there was a lot of people that just kept on going. They kept on doing what they could do, and a lot of the places they normally went did not, was closed, so they couldn't go there.
Yeah, one of those things, where our local judge, did one of the whatever they passed these like judge laws. I don't even know what you call it. That one member per household could go in any store. Shoot, they got the signs up. They don't even enforce it anymore. I mean, me and Jim walk into Walmart together and we'll be talking and nobody even enforces it.
Well, let me ask this. If Walmart paid a decent wage to their workers, they all try to get by on what, $9 an hour they pay their people.
I think ours pays more than that.
Yeah, I think they've had to get with the picture in this
I want to say ours is like 14 or 15 an hour.
Probably not around here, but if they paid a decent wage, wouldn't people rather work than have the $600 a week government dole?
No. People are late.
Yeah, but the 600 plus your unemployment is what is the thing right now.
Yeah.
People are lazy. Get it for nothing. I mean, get the money and because they don't have to worry about trying to get a job because nobody's hiring right now.
Yeah. The Walmart here in Kentucky, they start you at $10.30.
Yeah. It's just incredible to me. The government dole was so
about what ours
big.
is, I think.
In April, I read an article. In April, the average American income went 10% higher in April.
This April, like with the COVID stuff?
Yes, the government doles.
Yeah.
And the loans and the free money that the government just passed out. The average American wage went up 10%, even though 40% of the jobs got lost.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Honestly, knock on wood, I really can't complain during this whole like COVID crisis thing because we were just doing. It didn't really impact us at all on eBay.
Oh heck no!
You know, I mean, there was like when it first happened in March, when we had like 2 days where it was just like dead, but then it just kind of went right back up to normal or above normal. So I don't know.
Oh, my video game store buyout. I averaged maybe $5,000 a month on eBay, and my April was $10,000 just because of video game stuff. I doubled my take. It's because people are stuck at home and buying video games.
Yeah,
and
and
stuff.
video games were doing. You kind of had the perfect storm there because video games are doing good anyway.
And I'm still selling the crap out of it, and I'm only like 2/3 through it now. But it's just there's so much free money out there right now, and it all comes from. I mean, when's it going to come crashing down?
When China cuts us off.
Yeah, that can happen. Lots of stuff can happen.
Because that's what these people don't realize. All this money everybody got, a lot of people got it that didn't need it. They went directly into their savings account.
Yeah,
but on the back end, that money's got to come from somewhere.
I spent mine.
It doesn't have to come from anywhere as long as people believe that the American dollar is solid.
Yeah, but that's starting to waver.
You would think so, but if the dollar goes down, the world goes down.
Well, that's just it. You know, Europeans, were having riots and stuff about, the Americans, and cheering that we have in the situation we are. They need to remember, if the United States goes down, we take the fucking world with us.
Oh, yeah.
Because we're the ones that buys all that daggone cheap plastic crap from damn China. And we buy the expensive cars from European, the European nations, and all, it goes on and on and on and on. A buddy of mine works for Kia. He's a salesman, and he just said, come in. The people can, they'll tell them, you tell us what you think you can pay for a car. Just trying to get the damn things out of there.
Right.
I mean, he said, it's gotten really bad.
But how much farther can we keep kicking this can down the road, printing money and handing it out?
Yeah, I agree. I wasn't really enthused about the first round, and then when they wanted to do that second round, I mean, I hope they don't do it.
I
It
mean,
won't hit us for a few years when our children
Yeah.
are paying $12 for a loaf of bread. That's
Yeah,
when you'll know.
yeah, but they were saying this 20 years ago. And the bailout in 2008
Yeah.
is
Yeah, and a lot of stuff has gone up too since then.
craziness.
But 2008 was, I mean, I don't know. 2008 was a lot different in my opinion, but I
was that
think we
when
had
the
a,
bailout? Was
It
that
was
when the
more about
bailout happened? Was that 8
real
or
estate
9?
and stuff like that.
Yeah, 2008, 2009, we were on the
yeah,
brink.
it was actually 9. But yeah,
And
I think that was worse than we're experiencing now, in my
I
opinion.
would agree with you.
What, the real estate market crash?
Oh, yes. Well, I can only tell you my personal experiences because I remember my mom died that year. But so Jim was in real estate, which he had been doing for 25 years. He would drive people around and they couldn't get lending. You were just beating sand. There was nobody could get any lending for a house. You were really hamstrung if you were a real estate agent. Well, how do you go to, if you're really, you know how it is doing real estate. I mean, you might have a month where you get $30,000 worth of commissions, but you might not see another commission for another 45 days. So,
Yeah.
I mean, when you have it shut down, I mean, it was bad.
I mean,
And it costs you money to be a real estate agent, not just your other like living costs and stuff. I mean, the MLS fees, I want to say for like Jim was $100 a month, which isn't insurmountable. But then right after Christmas, you got to pay your MLS dues, which was like $1,500 or $1,600. It starts getting harder to pay to do a job you're not making any money at.
back in the 70s, I remember because my dad was a land surveyor. The talk at the table, my mom would be talking about different things, and realtors that would come by the office to pick up plats and stuff like that. You go into a daggone restaurant and you see them waiting tables, or you go into a store and see them stocking shelves.
Yeah.
Because they had to make some money because nobody was buying houses with 18% interest rates.
Yeah. I refinanced my property up there like in 2003. We had built onto that building I had. And I remember when I got the mortgage because the interest rates were 5.7. And I remember I looked at like my family and I'm like, you're never going to see interest. And it was 5.7 and they locked it in for 10 years. It wouldn't go above 5.7 or 5.6. And I remember looking at my family, I'm like, well, you're never going to see interest rates as low as 5.6 and locked in for 10 years. I mean, this is great. When I had that mortgage during that crash time, because it would adjust according to the Fed, my interest rate on that mortgage fell all the way down to 1.7%. I mean, insane.
My next door neighbors are buying a house or having a house built on the north side of Charlotte. Their interest rate is 0.75.
Down? Is what?
0.75.
Wow.
Right now?
They signed a contract to start building on a house, and the interest rate is 0.75.
Huh.
I said, why even bother? Because she's like, yeah, because that's not with this new tax structure they have. That's not even going to be enough to even affect your taxes. Itemizing the deductions. But 0.75.
Huh.
She went to the bank that she retired from and talked to them about it.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And they were like 0.85, I think it was.
Well, what is it? What are they paying on a CD right now?
That's crazy.
Did you know that?
I
mean, I
don't
think
know.
I looked at it like a year ago, and I think it was, I don't even know if it was 2%. It might have been like 1.9 or something.
I don't mess with CDs because I might find a piece of dirt that I need to cash fast that I can.
No, I agree with you. Well, and honestly, what CDs are paying so bad, why lock up your money for that amount of time? You know what I mean? I mean, you might as well just have a savings account.
You can, I bought a little piece of land and split it in half and sold it and made more money in 30 days than 40 years of these CDs.
Yep.
I mean, it's like Todd and his watches. Todd can take take $10,000 instead of buying a CD. He could, if he'd get off the internet every morning and get out there and do his job, he could make a lot more money with that $10,000 than he'll ever get out of a CD.
That's why I buy gold and silver, because if the faith is lost in the American dollar, what's left? Hard assets. You got to have land. You got to have horses. You got to have cattle. You got to have.
I was through the first economic crash. Nobody buys horses when the economy's bad.
Okay. Well, maybe horses is a bad example. But,
yeah, horses is a real bad example.
Gold or silver or land or rent houses or physical assets. I think when the dollar crashes, when they can't kick the can any farther down the road, if you're the owner of a defendable property or defendable real assets, you're going to come out the other side.
I don't know how people up in like in New York City, where they pay $1,800 a month for a 300 square foot house. I just don't. I don't see why they stay up there.
I don't either.
Housing market's booming right
job is.
Yeah, but you know what? Can you afford? Can you take a job elsewhere for less money and maybe have a better standard of living?
Yeah, but they don't see it that way, do they?
No,
Obviously,
they want to live
because
in the city. They want to live in the city.
Yep.
I think that might be flip-flopping a little bit nowadays. They want to move to the suburbs now.
Well, they have a big, like they're saying, like New York, they're having a big exodus from there between all the stuff going on.
Right.
Upside Down Picker says, I heard rich people in Detroit are coming up here, or rich people in Detroit area are coming up here and buying up all property and cars up. I know a guy that lives about half a mile away from me. He owns a city block in Detroit. He bought it for nothing. I mean, it's cheap. His thought is, it's not worth anything right now, but sooner or later somebody's going to need it because they're not making any more dirt.
Yep.
And he said if the opportunity came up again, he would buy some more.
They used to have those listings like in Detroit on eBay, like a house, and they'd like started at like $500 or whatever.
Yeah. And I was watching a video on, I think it was on Netflix, but it was about Detroit and the collapse of it. And the collapse of Detroit started like in the late 50s, early 60s. And about the people moving out.
My mom used to work for a company, and she would have to travel from city to city. She would set up the accounting offices and branch offices of this company she worked for. Anyway, she said Detroit was really bad.
Oh, it's terrible.
Yeah. One time she was lost, she said. She would fly into the city, and sometimes she'd rent a car or whatever. And she got lost in downtown Detroit. And she goes, I go to this gas station, and there's this really nice little old man there. He's behind his bulletproof glass. And she goes, can you tell me where this is? You know, this is the 80s, so there's no Garmin's or anything. And he looks at her, he goes, lady? He goes, what are you doing out here? He goes, I'm black, and you don't see me wandering around on the streets asking directions right now. And she always kind of laughed about that.
I was watching something. It was one of the commentators on YouTube, and he lives in Texas. And he says, you know, he was talking about the exodus from California and New York, a couple of New Jersey, a couple others northeastern states. They're moving out because they can't afford to live there. But when they get to their new location, they start wanting to make that new location like it was back home. And now people are like, you know, well, he said that there's a sign near his house that says no one from California allowed or something like that.
Yeah.
You know, they're not wanting to move in there because they're trying to change everything.
That happens a lot up like where I was from in northern Wisconsin because it's a vacation place. So you get these people from like Chicago, northern Illinois, or southern Wisconsin. So they come up there because it's rural and it's peaceful, and then they start bringing their city ideas of regulation with them.
It's going to be a rude awakening for a lot of people. It really is.
Never seen so much change in such a short amount of time in my whole life. Have y'all?
Never. Like, who's making all these decisions?
No, me neither, Chad.
Who are making all these decisions?
The biggest change that ever happened in my life up until this moment was like when I was in 4th grade and the schools in my Texas, little town, Texas, were integrated. And it turned out to be no big deal.
Yeah.
But that was the big upheaval back then.
See, what's going to happen, it's going to take about 5 more generations for this stuff to finally be put to bed, because my kids, all their life they've gone to school with black kids, Mexican kids. When I was in elementary school, it was just white kids. In seventh grade, that's when they started integrating the school. But you know, my kids hang out with black kids all the time. They do stuff together. They don't see the same thing that a lot of people do. Like I said, it's going to take 4 or 5 more generations to breed it out of people.
Calm things down, because everything's just a tinderbox now. It doesn't matter which way you turn almost.
And it's going to get really ugly really fast if the economy tanks again.
Yeah. I keep holding on to the thought that I keep holding on to the thought that a lot of people are like me, and they're the silent majority, and there's a lot of common sense left in this world. And I just hope that everyone's just going to speak their mind at the voting booths. And
Yes. Well, it gives me hope, like that Tulsa, Oklahoma, where they're going to have that rally.
Otherwise, we're losing control.
Where they said they sold like 200,000 tickets for it, and they're in a venue that holds like 9,500. So I think maybe there's a lot of people that think like us. They just keep their mouth shut, and then they're gonna, vote with their mind. So.
Well, that happened the last time in 2016.
Yeah, but well, I believe Trump's going to win again. But I will tell you, this election for me is a little scarier because the Democratic Party has really gone off the rails.
Well, I think I don't think he's going to get the support that they think he's going to get, because there's a lot of burnouts that said that they're not going to be voting.
They need to lose the House. The Republicans need to keep the Senate, but it gives me hope, like, for them with the House, because you had like that district in California that elected that's been controlled by Democrats for like, I don't know, 40 years or whatever, and they elected a Republican representative. That gives me hope that, like, in the liberal Democrat leading area, when you have a Republican voted in, like, maybe the people are like, enough is enough.
No.
Right.
I don't trust a Republican any more than I do a Democrat. I think they do a little bit of a better job on running the show. But I don't,
I call myself a
they'll
Trumper.
screw you just as good as a Democrat will. So don't.
I call myself a Trumper. So there's Republicans out there that don't support what the president's doing, like Romney. I mean, I don't like him at all. He needs to go. I was from Wisconsin. Paul Ryan, he ran for VP with Romney. He quit. He retired or whatever. But he didn't really want Trump elected. I don't really like those kind of Republicans. I want you to be on board with what the president's trying to do.
Well, did you hear about what is it? Is it Jeb Bush's son that's supporting Trump?
Really? Jeb doesn't like Trump.
I know, but I believe it's his son that is really come out backing Trump.
And old Barbara Bush didn't like Trump either.
Well, that's because he criticized her child.
I just don't see much of a choice. I mean, and I don't care if you're a Trump hater. I mean, if you want any kind of reasonable life for yourself and your children, there's no choice. I mean,
I would say probably if Bernie Sanders would have got the nomination, I would be a little bit more scared, because he was a little bit of like giving the farm away, with, we're going to give you all health care or a standard of living wage or all this stuff. And then people are like, oh, I'm going to get this free stuff. I'm going to vote for getting stuff. Where Biden, they're going to give shit away, but not quite as much as the socialists.
There is stuff there are things that need to be worked on. It shouldn't cost so damn much to go to college.
Okay.
Whoa. Okay. Whoa. Wait.
Here's part of the
problem. Here's part of the problem with colleges. I hate to say this, you can't pay professors as much as you're paying them and have no tuition. Did you know that Biden is like the University of Pennsylvania? He's on something. He gets paid $750,000 a year for some course he's supposedly an advisor on or whatever. I mean, so how could you give away tuition to a state college when you have people you're paying $750,000 and then all the other professors? I mean, I think in Wisconsin, the average salary for a college professor was around like 130 or 150,000. I mean, you can't have students go for free and pay teachers that much money. And I'm not saying they don't earn it, but you see what I mean? You have to be able to pay these chancellors and professors and all this other stuff and build these buildings and that. You can't give it away for free.
Exactly. But it's still out of control.
I have a big problem with
I'm glad that you got your PhD and Peruvian art. Well, you made a bad call, honey.
I
Because
have
you can't make a living
no
with it.
college education. I
No, I'm
am.
not talking about. I'm
No,
not
but
talking
I'm
about
going to say,
specific.
but Jim does. He went to college. He has a not a master's. What the hell? A
Bachelor's.
degree in what? Yes, a degree. Anyway, when he went to college, his parents didn't pay for his college. Jim had to work all summer to pay for his own college, and I think for the year it cost him around $3,000 or $3,500. By the time his son went to school in the same UW system, just a different city school, I want to say it was like $11,000 for the year or something. That's how much it's gone up since Jim went to college. I think even by the time his brother went to college, it was getting closer to 10,000 a year or 9,600, and his brother's like 8 years younger than him. No, 13, maybe 13 years younger than him. I can't remember.
Yep. My boys spent close to $200,000 between them getting their bachelor's degree.
Yeah.
And neither one of them works in a field remotely related to their degree. So
that's the
yeah,
problem.
and then you have this huge student debt hanging over your head. So you get out of college and you have this $150,000 worth of student debt. I mean, I guess if you're a doctor or something and it gets you into that field, and you're making a lot of money, or a lawyer or something, but if you did it for just maybe not a job, I mean, you inhibit yourself from being able to buy a house or tangible goods later on because you have this student debt hanging over your head. Anyway.
Yeah, even a doctor is 20 years into their career before they pay off that debt.
Oh, it cost Jim $4,000 a year, but it's
A year.
Yeah, when Sean went to school, how much was it up to?
Already like $10,000 a year.
Oh, really? And how many years is Sean younger than you?
13 years.
13. Yeah.
When I started
And
college,
Jim doesn't use his degree. I mean, God bless him. He is educated and he had a good time. He should have. Well, he went and did his internship at the courthouse and realized he could make more money in the private sector, like how it used to be back in the early 90s. But I mean, your degree, you didn't use it at all really for what you did for selling real estate or anything.
Well, there's accounting and stuff like that. It was public administration, so I mean, it had accounling and stuff like that.
What you do?
Whatever.
I'm smarter than you, and I'm not even educated.
Well, you are smart.
I'm happy literate, and I didn't spend all that money on college.
We have this friend. Their daughter, she's a nail technician. She's got a degree in art from University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. He rents a booth, like used to be. Hairdressers used to rent a booth. I don't know whether they still do or not, and they pay rent on that booth, but so anything above that rent money is theirs to keep.
Yeah, they're independent contractors.
Right. Our friend said that his daughter made over $100,000 a year. I mean, over $100,000 last year doing nails, working 5 days a week, like 4 or 5 hours a day.
Yeah.
And he said, and she's still paying off that damn school loan, that she don't even use, and that she would never be able to make a living at.
Yep. When I started college, it was $7 a semester hour.
How much?
And now look, $7.
Wow.
At a state college in Texas, because I was a Texas resident. $7 an hour, and I took 16 hours a semester. So what's 7 times 16? That was my tuition.
Yeah.
It's not the tuition that's so expensive. It's the room and board part of sending a kid to school that will kill you.
Jim was an RA, so then that covered his room and board. But you got that's what he told us. He told his brother to do that, and his brother did that, and then he told his son to do it too. But his son wanted to rent and live off campus, he's like, be an RA, you'll live in the dorms for free.
And see, I've always they never talk when they talk about paying for college. They pay for college. It's like we will work for tuition free college. They don't say anything about that room and board, and I think they would end up screwing a lot of people because they think they're going to go to college. Well, like in North Carolina, you can go to a state college. The tuition part of it's like $7,000. The room and board of it is like $36,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if you're thinking about going in the dorms, get an RA job.
My kids have moved past that, and I don't expect to have any more. So,
no, are you sure?
My oldest son. My oldest son is 36 years old. He went to college on a partial scholarship for volleyball, and he's still paying that money and probably still going to be paying it for another 10 years.
Oh,
he
wow.
quit after 2 years, and he sells roofs for a living. So
sells what?
He sells roofs, insurance jobs, roofs, hail damage, stuff like that.
You know, you can people make some pretty nice money, not with no college degree. You know, these guys that go out and get certified to work on all these automobiles, your electrician, your plumbers that have to be, they have to pass a state board to do work. They make some pretty good jack. I paid a guy $480 to put a blower in our heating and air conditioning. And guess what? It was worth every penny of it because it was like 103 degrees outside.
Yeah.
Like Tara and Bridget, they keep.
I'm not a big fan of college.
They kick back, $200,000 or $300,000 a year just selling people's crap.
I wish I made more money.
Well, you get your inventory back up, so it'll start.
Yeah, last year with the move and everything, I mean, like on my eBay sales, I mean that probably cost me like probably $35,000, I would say, in gross sales.
Villanova sounds expensive, Maggie. She said she won a 4-year scholarship to Villanova, but she had to go to work to help her mother. That name just sounds real expensive.
When Jim went to college, he worked all summer. He had to make enough money to cover his tuition for college because he didn't qualify because his dad made too much money. So he didn't qualify for any like Pell Grants or anything like that. So he had to make the money. His parents did not pay for his college at all. They kicked him out of the house and they paid his first semester because he was being a bad boy. He either had to go to college or move away. So he chose to go to college. And I think they paid his first semester, but then after that, he had to pay it all himself.
Well, I'd have kicked his ass out too if I walked back in the woods behind my house and found a dozen cars back there.
Yeah, well, no, he wasn't doing that, but he was, being a party boy and drinking, and he was being naughty.
I don't believe my buddy did any of that stuff, Tara.
Yeah. The older Jim is a lot younger, older, tamer version of the original young Jim.
Yeah. When I graduated high school, Dad tried to talk me into working for the railroad like he did. Which, in retrospect, I would have come out smelling like a rose. But I wanted to go to college.
Probably had a pretty good retirement out of the railroad, eh?
Oh,
if it still, would it have run long enough to retire out of? Are there any railroads left?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even though the Santa Fe combined with Burlington Northern, Dad retired making about $100,000 a year, and I never made that much teaching.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it would have been better
And my
economically,
brother-in-law
but
retired from the railroad.
I had a good teaching career, and retirement's not bad for teachers. But yeah, had I gone into railroading, that would have been.
I was friends with her husband, but a retired teacher out of Wisconsin, and maybe it depends what state you're in or that. But he's like, yeah, she in her retirement salary for the year was like $92,000. She made a really good retirement being a teacher.
Yeah. She probably didn't retire in Texas, but
No, Wisconsin.
yeah, I would say the
My
average
brother-in-law retired from the
retiree in
railroad.
Texas teaching is pulling down maybe 35 grand.
Really? That's
Yeah.
it? You should have moved to Wisconsin, Todd.
Yeah.
Where the school district Brandon was in, up in northern Wisconsin, the medium, like, I would say like a starting teacher, they would start them around 47,000, and then, I mean, it was up. I would say the medium income, if you averaged them all, was like around 62 or 65. That music teacher they had up there, he was old and he stayed teaching till he was well past 70 because in their contract he was making over $100,000 a year just as a music teacher up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the reason
No.
they get a lot of these school districts have mandatory retirement at a certain age now. Because these
Yeah, they
teachers
push
get in
them
there,
out.
they sit there, they're doing their job. I'm not saying they're not doing their job, but they're doing their job, and they stay. And of course, they got to get that every year raise. And when you've been there for 50 years, you're going to be getting paid a lot of money just off of that 3% interest. I mean, income raise every year.
Yeah.
Todd, when did you retire?
From teaching, like, I don't know, 12 years ago, 10 years ago, something like that.
Oh, wow. I thought you were going to say like 5 years ago.
Yeah.
No, let's see. Yeah, I did. I taught school 33 years and retired. Yeah, maybe like 9 years ago.
The last day you left school, did you like hop in the air and throw your hat up in the air when you left? Like
No,
Mary
it
Tyler
was-
Moore, did you go like, yay, I made it?
Or was
sort
it?
of, but no, it was more like, God, I love the kids, and teaching them, and that was rewarding. It was just all the principles and the turning in lesson plans, and I don't know. That got old.
Yeah.
Driving school buses, as a band director, you were expected to take your kids to the different events that you went to, so you had to have a bus driver license, and I got tired of driving school buses, and I don't know.
Huh.
My hat's off to anybody that's a teacher.
Huh?
I said my hat's off to anybody that wants to be a teacher. I mean, you got to have a special kind of skill to pull that one off.
Yeah. I mean, you always had parents to deal with, and administration, and
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
couldn't imagine.
I counted up one time over a period. I taught at one school district for 20 years, and during that time, I had 9 different junior high school principals come through, and every one of them wanted to do something different. You know, they all had their plan for making the children's lives more rich or whatever, and they wanted to change what I was doing already, and it just, I don't know, that got annoying. You know, I wasn't going to change what I was doing because it was working. Kids were learning how to play band instruments and march on the marching field and learn music. And
yeah, and after doing it, you know what works.
yeah, so every time I got a new principal that wanted to change how I was doing things, got really annoying. So
My high school band director, he taught high school in the afternoon and junior high in the morning.
yeah,
And both of the principals, Mr. Pinson and Mr. Foster, there was an understanding. It said he knew what the rules were as far as, you know, his position as a teacher, but they never interfered in what in his teaching, because neither one of them could play an instrument.
yeah.
So, but he taught the middle school and the junior high in the morning, and then in the high school in the afternoon. And he did that.
There was a certain amount of that if, you know, the kids were behaving, and you didn't have to have a parent-teacher conference because some kid was a butt during your class. The principals pretty much were okay, but yet every time you got a different high school or junior high school principal, things would change, and they wanted to change what you were doing in your classroom. And I was like, no, I've been doing this 25 years. Leave me alone. So,
those parent-teacher conferences around my household, there better not be a parent-teacher conference unless it was you were really having a struggle with a certain class, or, you know, you were being invited to participate in something. Otherwise, your ass was grass.
Oh my God. Yeah. I was so naughty when I was in high school. I would intercept all my like bad mail from the school or report cards, and then I would burn them so my mom would find them. I was really not a good student. I was very naughty.
My dad's thoughts was his job was to feed the family and make sure everybody had a roof over their head and power and a little spending money. Our job was we were supposed to go to school and do, you know, take care of that.
Oh yeah, I was bad.
And he would. You were going to get your ass beat if you got into trouble at school.
Did you know, like, when you're in school that you get graded in a class like A, B, C, D, E, F? But did you know on your report card you could actually get an I?
Yeah, for incomplete.
Yeah.
When I was my senior year of high school, my car had to go in the shop, so we had to ride the bus for about a week. Because I had a Mustang too, and the clutch cable was made by the Singer Sewing Machine Company in Germany. Specifically, one plant in Germany made all of the damn clutch cables. So I was coming out of the high school parking lot, and I pushed my foot down on the clutch, and the cable snapped. It took 2 weeks. It took 2 weeks for the cable to get there. So we rode the bus. One day, one of the boys that lived down the street from us wanted to start picking on my younger brother, and I told him he needed to stop. And then he wanted to start some crap with me, and I yelled at him because back in them days, high schoolers drove the school buses. And I yelled up at the bus driver. I said, "You better tell Dickie to sit down and leave Terry alone, or I'm gonna have to get involved. And that means you're going to have to go back and take us all back to school. And that means that my dad is going to get involved. And that means that you're going to lose your job because you didn't do your job. So the best thing you can do is let's do it. Let's everybody sit down and behave themselves." And our bus driver actually lived 2 houses up from us. And he knew my dad. And he knew when I said, "My dad's gonna have to come to school, and it's gonna cost you your job, and for not doing what you're supposed to be doing." And he said, "You better sit down." He told that kid, he said, "You better sit down, or I will write you up, and you will not ride this bus again." But yeah, that was back in the day when students drove the school bus.
Wow.
I just do not even want to think about some of the kids that I know, friends of my boys, driving a school bus. Hell, they can hardly drive a day.
Oh my God, with liability, you never get away with that now. I mean, can you imagine if you had a high school student driving a school bus and they got in an accident or something?
No, I went to school in South Carolina, and which is more rural than Charlotte is. So I don't know what they had up here, but down there we had student. Just about all of South Carolina, if not all of South Carolina, had student drivers. Because my brother, when we lived in Goose Creek, South Carolina, before we moved up here, my brother drove a school bus when he was in high school.
I would say the school is a little bit different here. Like Brandon never gets in trouble at school, but he's like, they don't hit you here, but if you're being like excessively naughty and they have to remove you and take you to the principal's office, they will take you by the arm, and take you out of there.
Right.
Whatever, teacher's aide. They will take you by the arm and you're going to go for a walk and get out of there. When Brandon was up at school in northern Wisconsin, like they'd have these kids having these temper tantrums, like when a kid like lays on their belly and they're like just going and hitting and kicking and just being a total pain in the ass. They couldn't touch the kid at all, like grab the kid by the hand and lead him off to a quieter area. They would stand around him. I called it the safety circle. All the teachers and aides would stand around the kid in a circle while they called the kid's parents to say, "Pick your kid up because he's freaking out and we can't touch him." Anyway.
See, old school Picker's dad must have been a friend of my dad's. He said, "I respected my dad. He demanded it." Yeah, mine did too. He was the head of the household. And we better remember that. We just didn't. We never wanted him to have to come to school.
Yeah.
Because it was not going to bode well. I mean, it really wasn't. It was not in our best interest.
Oh yeah, I remember that. The threats of "I'm going to send you to."
Oh no, there was no threat.
Oh well, with my mom, it would be like, "That's it. You're going to boarding school or whatever."
My dad, he had this expression. Never figured out what it meant. My brothers and I have had long conversations about it. It's, if you don't behave yourself, I'm going to beat your ass till it won't hold corn shucks. I have no idea what that means. We just figured that it was not going to be very pleasant, so we would just let it. We would just
Sorry about
stay
that.
on the lawful side of school.
Yeah, Dad and Mom had us on drugs. They drug us to baseball practice. They drug us to band practice. They drug us to Boy Scout camp. They drug us to church. They drug us to, yeah. We didn't have time to misbehave. We were so busy doing what was expected, I guess. We didn't have time to misbehave.
We had chores.
Yeah.
And those chores better get done before Friday night.
Yep.
We were too broke to misbehave.
Too broke to misbehave. Yep.
And I think that's a lot. You know, I've got a good friend. He's a middle school science teacher. He's been a middle school science teacher now for 25 or 26 years. He can tell the difference in the kids by how their home life is. He said one of his best science students was he'd have been like 14-year-old African-American boy. He was brilliant, he said. But there was days, he said, the thug would come out in him, and all he said he had to do was he had to walk to the dadgum office and call his grandmother who was raising him. And he said when she came through the school and opened up his classroom door and walked in, he said that boy would be as white as he was. He said because she did not play, and then he had problems with this one kid about not doing his work. He tried to get a parent-teacher conference, discuss it with his parents. They never would, attend it, schedule it, and then all of a sudden, his father had to go to Hawaii for 2 weeks on business, and they were going to take the family, and they wanted him to write a lesson plan for this kid to do work while he was gone. And he told his principal, Bruce told the parents that he wasn't going to do it because he didn't do his work now, more or less, with being in Hawaii with all the distractions there. So they called the principal, and the principal said, "You need to do this," and he says, "I'm not doing it." He told him why, and the principal said, "This could just cause a problem with your employment," and he said, "Go ahead." He said, "We will take it to court." So the principal let it drop. Well, they went to the school board member that represented their area, and Bruce got a call from him, and told him that he needed to come to Bruce's school so they could sit down and they could talk about it. And the guy said, "No, you need to come to my office." He said, "You're not paying me to come to your office. If you want to talk to me, you need to come down here because I don't work for you." So the guy came down there, and Bruce told him about it, about everything that was going on. And he showed him, where he had called these parents all these times saying, "We need to talk about your kids' schoolwork." And they wouldn't show up. And
because the kids are intercepting letters. That's what I did.
oh no, he was calling them, leaving them messages on their answer machine.
Yeah, it's called you intercept the answering machine too and erase the message, Tom.
Well, guess what?
Especially if your parents work and are working all day. Because you get out of school at 2:30, you can definitely intercept all that stuff.
Oh no, I didn't. Because just as soon as I did, I would.
I'm not saying you.
My teacher would call home, and my dad would say, "Where the hell's these letters at?"
That's how it happens. Well, eventually you're going to get caught,
And if it sounds like I was afraid of my dad as a kid, yeah, because he would beat your ass. Now I can't remember getting whipped very many times, maybe 2 or 3 times. And with my mouth, I'm sure I deserved it. I mean, I'm not going to say, well, I didn't deserve it, because I probably did, because I've always had a smart mouth. But my, you just did what you had to do. And you can behave just as well as not behave.
I was an angel, Tom.
Yeah,
I bet you were, Mr. Sadie. I bet you had a halo.
Let me show you something, Tom. That was me.
Well, you were a cute little thing. It's
not a worry in the world.
Yep. And kids are not supposed to have to worry. And there's a lot of kids. There's a lot of kids. The situation that's going on right now. There's a lot of little kids that are having to worry that shouldn't be having to worry.
Yep.
I agree. Yeah. Did you guys see this? I'm gonna be kind. This idiot pushed this 92-year-old woman over.
Yeah.
He had over 100 arrests. He's been arrested over 100 times.
Oh, I didn't see that one.
I saw that.
Just sick people in this world. It's just sick.
Yep.
But if she had got up off that floor and popped a cap at him, she would have been the bad guy.
I would have loved. Woo, I'd have loved to see it though.
They have.
I mean,
this
at what
video.
point do you just put somebody in misery?
We like to watch this TV show, and I can't think. It's not. It's like on VH1 or one of those where they have all these dumbest criminals. It's called World's Dumbest Criminals. Anyway, there's this one episode where this guy reaches over. He comes in a convenience store, and the way it looked, it had to be like up north. And this guy, he comes in with a gun, and he pointed at this little old lady, and he starts tearing up her counter. She pulls at that aluminum baseball bat from behind the counter and pops him right across his arm right here where he's holding that gun. And he drops the gun, and then she starts beating the crap out of him with that aluminum baseball bat.
I saw a really good one, and this is Russian police. And there's this guy. He's a man, but he's dressed in like this dominatrix outfit, but it has kind of like this fascist German, maybe Nazi style, not an actual one, coat and hat. And they're obviously having some kind of problem with or whatever. He's like protesting. So the cop has something. He slaps the cop's hand. And then there's another cop there. He goes and slaps his hand. That Russian cop like picks up whatever he slapped out of his hands, walks right over to him, and punches him square in the face and knocks his ass right down. I'm like, not that I think that's the way it should be, but I mean, in some other countries, the police are a lot more brutal than they are here.
See, that's what our people.
Oh yeah.
Once you've traveled to Russia and you've traveled to Ukraine and you see how the other world works, part of the world works, you know we've got it pretty good here. I'm assuming that Stephen.
Well, you know, and some people
talking about you, Mr. Sadie. Sometimes you have to watch out for the quiet one.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I mean, brother,
well, you know, some people get it a little bit right too. Over in Nigeria, when they catch a thief, they just put a tire around him and catch him on fire. The townspeople do
Oh
that.
my God! Yeah. Oh God.
Or where was it? Was it Korea where it's been years ago, where this American, he wasn't a teenager, he was like early 20s. He got caught stealing and he was in jail, and the penalty was like 20 licks with a cane.
Yeah.
You would have swore they were getting ready to take his leg off by the.
Right.
He should be glad. They should have been glad that he got the caning instead of staying in the damn jail for the next.
I think that was in China. And then you had the other guy that was in North Korea that took down a propaganda poster and got caught. And remember, he was in jail and they finally got him released. And then he ended up dying. Like, I don't know if he died on the plane over here or right when he landed, but he was in really horrible condition.
You know what, Mike? I remember chain gangs. I can, especially down in Horry County, which was where my grandmother lived, because the water table was so high, they had to keep the ditches really dug out to keep the water to float off the roads.
You know what? It's kind of funny about those chain gangs. I heard that a lot of times, people wanted to be on them because it was an opportunity for them to get outside of the prison.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like to get out and do something else.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you know, Old School Picker says he used to work at a state prison. A few years ago, they put up, God damn it, Roxy, they put up cameras to watch not to watch the prisoners, but watch the officers. But, you know, those things can be defective.
Right.
We know.
Oh, yeah. Look at Epstein.
A whole block of them.
Yeah.
You were talking about Biden a while ago. Did you? I know I shared it, but I think somebody from else in the group shared it too. It was a picture of Hillary and Joe Biden, and Joe Biden saying, "If I if I pick you to be vice president, will I live?" Can't mess with Hillary.
Nah, he ain't gonna take her. She's got too many skeletons in her closet.
Yeah.
When they got in that DNC server and everything, they found out too much stuff about them.
Oh, 100% it'll be an African American woman. There's no doubt. I mean, 100%.
I think it's gonna be. Is her name Susan Rice? Was she like Secretary of State for Obama? I suspect that's who they'll take.
Yeah, it could be.
Well, the one they really wanted was I think she was Hawaiian or whatnot, but she ran for president. And I was thinking she was Hawaiian. I could be wrong, but they said she was too conservative.
Yeah, no, they didn't want her because she started. I forgot her name, but she was kind of started fighting a little bit with like the DNC uppities and stuff. And I think Hillary Clinton said something kind of crappy about her. You know, that she was splitting up the vote. I forgot. Gabby, is it Gabby?
Yeah.
Gabby, oh God dang it. Gifford? What's that lady from Hawaii? And then didn't Hillary Clinton say something kind of shitty about her? She was running for president. Is her last name Gabby? She was like a veteran. Army veteran or something.
I don't remember.
She's too conservative. Who is?
Is it Tulsi Gabbard?
Yeah, Tulsi Gabbard.
Yeah. Stacey Abrams.
But she's already off the short list, isn't she? Jim said she's already off the. They have a short list.
I think it's going to be Kamala.
I think it's going to be that Susan Rice. Wasn't she
Susan
Secretary
Rice
of State?
Better choice. Yeah, Kamala's nuts.
The Russian. It's going to be nasty. You won't be able to watch. You might as well go ahead. If you watch a lot of YouTube, you might as well go ahead and get the YouTube Red or whatever they call it now, because you won't be able to watch a daggum video without.
How do you like this new press secretary Trump has?
I really haven't seen her that much.
Oh, she's good. And I love Sarah Sanders, but I can tell you she can really dish it back out to the press. She's really good.
She's well spoken and quick to respond, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
I can't remember who it was. It's one of the old white Democrats. He was reported as saying that that all this crap needs to end. All this, rioting and whatnot, because if it gets too close to the election, it could cause them to put a hold on the election, because it'll be. He called it something, but it's like extreme turmoil in the nation or something like that. And you can't change presidents in the middle of it. Yeah, Susan Rice is the one that told lies about Benghazi.
Mm-hmm. I'll tell you what.
No, because wasn't Hillary Clinton what was Hillary Clinton when Benghazi happened? Wasn't Hillary Clinton involved with that? Did Susan Rice replace Hillary Clinton as Secretary of State? No. What was Hillary Clinton in the Obama administration? But then Susan Rice must have replaced her, right?
No.
Yeah, unless Susan Rice was an advisor.
Oh, maybe she was an advisor.
Yeah, I thought she was like one of her best friends or something like that. I didn't think she really had an official position.
Did they have like pajama parties and do each other's hair?
I don't know that. Hey, Jim, you really got to get
Susan Rice was a national security advisor.
Did she give horrible advice?
She gave bad advice.
Okay, but did Hillary have like one of her best friends or something like that?
Yeah, but she really had a mean pillow fight when she'd hang out with Hillary for the night. They'd prank call boys. They'd do each other's hair.
No, I'm serious. Wasn't there a woman that was like best friends with Hillary, and she was involved in a bunch of bullshit too? They called her into huh?
Was it Linda Tripp?
No.
Linda Tripp was a whistleblower.
Jim, you really got to get her under control.
Was it Monica Lewinsky? Is that who she used to hang out with?
Oh, okay. Here's what it is. Huma Abedin or whatever. That's the one I'm thinking of. Okay, see, I was right. I was just in the wrong person.
She was hanging out with Monica. They were doing their nails, telling each other how much Bill liked to have blowjobs.
They use the same dress.
Yeah, Linda Tripp told Monica to keep the dress. And nothing just boils my blood more to see Bill's daughter come on there and talk about Trump being a sexist.
And what's wrong with her? What's wrong with Chelsea Clinton's teeth? What happened to them? I mean, they're rich, for God's sake. They're like the color of, I don't know, yellow. I mean, they're really bad yellow. I hope it doesn't get flagged by YouTube. But Jim's like, oh my God, what happened to her teeth? They're really bad.
You know, for her to make comments like that, it's the pot calling the kettle black, you know. They don't call her dad Blue Dress Bill for nothing.
Oh my God, he finally stole that fur coat. Hallelujah.
Oh, is that what happened?
Yeah.
Oh,
did you sell your fur coat?
Huh? I had two of them. No, the cat fur one resold, but then I had this other one that came with it, and it just been sitting there, and I finally sold it.
It was not a cat fur. For any listeners that's still sitting here with us,
no,
it was not a cat fur.
We figured out I think it's something called like Asian raccoon or something, because it's like a little bit different. It's not like quite like our color raccoons. They're like more of a brown or tanny brown. Anyway, yeah, I had this lady leave negative feedback that I sold her this cat fur coat, and it's illegal to sell cat fur in the United States.
So then I go to type up a thing demanding a revision, but I didn't know it goes right to the buyer. She got it. I thought it goes to eBay too, but also she gets a copy of it. So she did revise her feedback. She said, "Well, it just didn't fit right and it was too heavy." So that's really the reason she wanted to say it was made out of cat fur, is because she didn't want to pay for the damn return.
But then she left us a negative feedback.
Yeah, so she revised it to a neutral.
Oh.
To a neutral, saying it didn't fit right. So I still pay for the return from California on this fur coat on something because it didn't fit. So she wanted me to pay the return. So she came up with this cock and bull story that it was a cat fur. I mean, I never heard California. There's got to be something in the water.
Tell
And
them
no
about
offense
the,
to anybody from
tell
California.
them about the flip flop lady. She was in San Francisco.
Oh, it was San Diego.
Oh, California, same
Yeah,
difference.
whatever. I don't even want to talk about the flip flop.
Okay.
Slap her with them.
Did I tell you about getting the return and I hadn't even shipped the item yet?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I shipped an I sold a coffee mug. Well, it's a teacup, actually, is what it is. And the woman canceled it and said it was broken when received. You know, when she filed a return with eBay, it was broken when received. And I looked at it, and I'm looking at the box that's shipped over here that I've made the label up, but it had, you know, I'm gonna drop it off at the post office that afternoon. And so I didn't say anything because she's already got eBay involved in it. So I sent eBay a message saying, "Look, how could she have received it broken when I haven't even shipped it yet? It's sitting here on the corner of my desk." So this person at eBay says, "Tell them to return it, and then you refund their money."
Go ahead. Sorry.
So I sent her an email through the eBay, so eBay could see the messages, and I said, "I'm sorry that you received the item broken. Please return it, and as soon as I receive it, I will refund your money as per eBay." And then the next thing I know, the return is dropped. And I called eBay and I said, "What should I do?" He said, "She's paid for it. Go ahead and ship it to her." I said, "I don't want to return it and have to pay for it to be shipped back to me." So I sent her a message saying, "Do you want the teacup or not? If you want to cancel it, just say cancel it." And so I did. She did, and I sent it back. And eBay said they would have a discussion with her about it. Probably not, but at least that's what they told me. Don't you love buyers? But then that's like one. Let's say I've had two things that I've had returned this year.
I had one just like that, Tom. I had a guy. He ordered these, I don't know, like male Supermax pills or something.
Male libido or something.
Yeah,
it was from the Shopko clearance.
Okay, the day I mail it, we get back from the post office, and I get a message. I want a refund. They didn't work. The pill. I'm like, how the hell would you know if they worked or not? You haven't even got them yet. So anyway, I don't think, did he ever return? Oh, it wasn't worth the effort. They didn't work. Seller was rude. Not worth the effort returning or something. Left me. I think it was a neutral feedback. I'm like, you son of a bitch. I'm like, you didn't even get the things. You already were complaining. I'm like, whatever.
We sold again from the shop for stuff 3 pairs of these flip flops, which were super slow movers. So we accidentally send one of the styles of flip flops a wrong pattern or whatever. She has a shit hemorrhage. So Jim's like, just open a return and we'll return them. Well, she don't want to return them. She wants all her money and to keep the flip-flops, which we would have given her a partial refund, but that's not what she wants. So she's sending all these like threatening messages. She's going to get then she gets a hold of eBay. And then they pretty much told her, we'll just do a return. So then she was so pissed. She goes, what's not worth my effort? So then she left us 3 negatives for each transaction on those flip-flops.
$8.99 flip-flops. I got 3 negatives on each one. And I mean, they're just scathing.
Yeah.
Their seller's incompetent, name calling. I'm like, if you know camp, go to my feedback.
Yeah, go look at our negative
my
feedbacks.
negatives.
Yeah, we got these 3 rocking flip-flop
It'll brighten
negatives.
your day.
It's been about a month ago. I saw this little brass trinket box that's shaped like a turtle, and the shell opens up, so and it's velvet lined in there and whatnot. Well, I bought this thing at an estate sale, and where the hinges was a little I mean, it's a little piece of
Good
white
grief,
wire.
what the hell is that?
It was
I don't think those are
a
underpants.
wire with, that had white vinyl on the outside of it, and they had pushed it, through and then bent the ends to make it work. Well, they get the thing and they said, "Well, you didn't tell me that it had, these pieces of wire holding the hinge, the lid on." And I'm like, "That's the way it was when I got it. I don't know how it's supposed to be, but it was in the picture." So they opened up a return, and I immediately, said, "Okay, once it gets back." Well, eBay sends you that little thing about once you receive your item, then refund their money. So I sent her a little quick message saying, "Once I've received the money, the item back, I'll refund the money," as per eBay. Well, the next thing I know, she's canceled the return offer. And so I sent eBay a message saying, "What's the deal on this?" And they said, she's gonna keep it. She's canceled the return. And so she must have wanted me to say, "Well, I'll refund you half of the money back just so I don't have to pay to ship it back."
Yeah. And buyers, do you have savvy buyers that are wise for that? Even like a full refund, like, oh, it ain't worth the hassle of a negative, or that it ain't worth returning. Sometimes people just end up giving them a full refund, but then you train them too. I mean, you'll have a bad apple who will take advantage of that.
This is an Amazon item right here.
Oh yeah.
It's like $125 laser hair removal system.
Is it for your cats?
No, it was supposed to be a pair of leather work gloves. So Roberta called them and said, "This is what it was supposed to be, and this is what we got." And they said, "Okay, we'll send out your gloves." She says, "What do you want me to do with this item?" And they said, "Just keep it." So it's still sitting here. I'm gonna get it listed this week because I've been holding off on it because I didn't know whether I really wanted to list something like that or not. But everybody else seems to be listing them. And
why do you think somebody's going to judge you for having a hair removal system?
No, because it's got a laser on it. You don't want somebody to get hurt or something like that.
Cats
well, it's
don't
for
like
removing hair, not removing your eyeballs.
Well,
I mean, if you're gonna sit there and take your eyebrows off, I don't know. Don't shine yourself in the eye.
There is dumbasses in the world. Don't you know that?
Well, that's
on that note, I'm going to bed.
All right, good night, Todd.
Good night, Todd. It's 11:56.
Good night, buddy. Have a good night, Todd.
Todd's got to go home. Get a little bit of sleep so he can make it to his 9 o'clock show in the morning.
There you go.
Well, yeah, I'm gonna call it too pretty soon. This is my last night of freedom.
Oh,
my wife comes back tomorrow with the grandkids, and it'll be chaos all over again. I might do that. You ever see that movie, Risky Business, with Tom Cruise when he flies across the floor with the microphone and the socks and underwear on? I might pull that move tonight before I go to bed.
Oh, okay.
I think
she's going to call her.
Well, as long as you don't get the hooker like in that movie, you'll be okay.
That's what I was about to say.
Right. That wouldn't go. That wouldn't end well for me. Trust me.
Yeah, we'd all have to go out to St. Louis to a funeral because Mrs. Katie would kill Mr. Sadie.
Yeah, you could preach my eulogy, Tom.
Are the girls? Your grandkids are girls, aren't they? Don't you have a bunch of granddaughters?
Yeah, all 6. Yeah.
All 6. Are they going to be staying with you a while?
6 girls. Well, since all this school's been out, we've been keeping them. We've got at least 2 or 3 of them every night of the week. It seems like, and my wife's not working a lot because she's a waitress, and so the dining room that she works at isn't going to open back up. So she's only getting a few hours a week right now.
Is it not opening
No,
because
they
it's
decided
choosing
not
not to, or they're done?
They actually can open back up right now, but they said they're not going to open back up, period, at all, ever.
Oh wow.
So they're going to just stick with the drive-through. I mean, they're not closing the whole business, but they're just not opening the dining room back up.
Oh yeah. Huh. Yeah, I think like here in Kentucky they can do like 33%, like 30, like their seating in inside dining can be like 33%.
Yeah. Yeah, it's probably similar here, something like that, yeah. But I offered to buy the place, but they turned me down.
No.
How about your work? Are you still working full time or?
Oh yeah, I'm busier than I've ever been, Tom. I sure am. Yeah, produce business is hot right now.
Now, y'all like wholesalers to restaurants? I mean, to stores.
Grocery store, grocery store chains. We sell about 3 to 4 53-foot trailer loads of produce a day.
Wow.
Yeah, we'll do about $30 million this year.
Wow. Maggie, what's clickbait? Oh, I guess she's talking about you doing the Tom Cruise routine in a white shirt, your underwear.
Oh yeah, yeah, bro. Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know.
that's what I figured. I had to read back up through to get caught up. Yeah, he should do that. That would be. He would have
your channel would probably get protested.
But then again, Tom Cruise is getting close to as old as Mr. Sadie.
He's older than Jim, Tom Cruise is.
Yeah, because Tom's got to be old, getting old.
My Jim's going to be 55, and I know Tom Cruise is older, so I think he's like 57, maybe.
That sounds right. Last I heard, he was losing his mind or something.
Well, yeah, he can be a little bit out there, I think.
Are you talking about
half those West Coasters Tom
Cruise,
they slip in and out of reality. I have to be careful because Valerie's daughter lives out there.
Oh yeah.
And but then again, with I think he's 6 years old. I think AJ's like 6, and then the baby who's less than 6 months old, she's probably slipping in and out of reality.
I tell you, nowadays I think I'm slipping in and out of reality the way things are going.
Yeah. Hi, Rita.
I feel sometimes like I'm in the Purge movie or something.
Right. Yeah.
I was sitting
pinch myself anytime it's going to be over.
I was sitting at a stoplight and listening to the news on the radio about all this mess, and I'm like, what is going on here? This is just a bad dream. Let me wake up.
Right. Yeah, that's right. Old school Picker said it. Tom Cruise went through that Scientology stuff, and that screwed his mind up.
I agree. I didn't want to say it on live, but I agree.
Who was the other one? The King of Queens girl. What's her name?
Yeah.
Leah Remini.
Yeah.
Yeah, and because I watched the show. She did that like exposing Scientology. Actually, I was watching that. It was kind of interesting.
Yeah, Roberta watched that out.
Yeah, well, yeah. I always thought she was the most beautiful woman on TV just forever.
Yeah, I'm with you, Old School Picker. I am not the most political correct people. I really have to hold my tongue.
Well, I try not.
yeah, me
I try to be
too.
careful when I'm
People ask
actually
me
buying.
Yeah. People ask me how come I don't do a lot of lives and this and that and show up here and there, and that's one of the reasons I just don't trust myself.
Yeah.
Well, we should have talked about reselling because I know people like Maggie are disappointed and that we haven't talked about reselling for the last 3 hours, but I always just want to catch up with
Well,
everybody.
I'm worried about a return. I got a return I'm worried about that I sold last week.
You have a return you're worried about?
Yeah, well, not really worried about it, but it's in the back of my mind. I sold a VHS combo player DVD recorder, and it was one of the better ones. I got $180 plus 20 shipping for it.
Yeah.
And it's in the back of my mind with that stuff. I always worry about it coming back.
Yeah.
And I tested it. I must have ran 33.
Yeah, and that is like electronics is a high return area.
Dusty
Yeah,
has
I
said,
know.
Dusty, the Alabama picker, has said on a lot of his videos that he quit selling a lot of electronics because of user error or user inability to set stuff up like it's supposed to, and then end up having to pay for a return.
Right. Well, I tested everything at 20, 30 times, and I let it sit for a while, just to cover all my bases. I did the record part. I tried everything. I took pictures of each item working that it's supposed to.
Yeah.
But still, and I've had good luck. I don't get many returns. I've had real good luck, and knock on wood, I'm still, 100% positive feedback for probably 2 years now. But there's always in the back of my mind somebody's playing me, or they're going to get it and complain and want to, something, and leave me a bad feedback and complain about something, even though I try to cover all my bases. It's just going to happen.
Don't sell the California flip-flop lady, because she will definitely leave you bad feedback.
Right. She'll have my combo player while wearing your flip-flop.
Yeah.
Have you sold through just about all that stuff that you got from Shopco?
Yeah, most of it. Well, Brandon listed some makeup here like in the last 3 weeks, and that was Shopko stuff that hadn't been listed. So there's some makeup in there yet. There's still some swim trunks there, I think, and there's some more flip-flops, but they didn't really move very well, the flip-flops. When I got them from Shopko, we were paying like $20 for a cartload, so I just threw them on. And I only bought the extra larges for the flip-flops, and I'm like, well, any worst case, I'll just wear them myself, so whatever. I'm trying to think. There's nothing big left from Shopko. There's some small stuff left. There's some vitamins left, some makeup left, just some little stuff. Maybe some CDs left too. I did good on that Shopko clearance. Honestly, I did really good on that Shopko clearance.
I love the stories that y'all talking about when you're when you're at the actual store.
Oh my God, my son was crying. He'd be like all so stressed out from him. Like, don't worry about it. He wanted to actually buy his own Shopko stuff himself with his own money. I'm like, don't worry about it. I'll just cover it if you go over. It's no big deal. You can just pay me back. He'd be like in tears. It'd be like so stressful for him. You'd think he was doing like a major multi-million-dollar transaction. He'd be so stressed out. It was crazy. Anyway, I should have videotaped it, but he never let me do that. Oh yeah, and then on the way, we did 3 Shopko clearances. So the second Shopko we went to was in central Wisconsin, and there was this guy driving a manure spreader, but it was one of those liquid cow crap manure spreaders, and they really smell bad. And there was cow crap all over the road, which I drove the expedition in. It took us like 3 weeks to get that cow shit smell off of that expedition after that. It was so bad. We'd walk by the car and it'd be like, oh. And I have horses. Manure doesn't bother me that much. I'm not that sensitive to it, but I can tell you, it was really bad. Holy crime in it. It was bad. We'd be driving down the road and you could smell it.
Well, guys,
I
it's
get tickled every time he said the Colombian drug lord when in the middle of that video.
Yeah.
it is 12:10.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm ready to hit it too, buddy. I appreciate you guys having me on. And
That was good seeing you, Mr. Sadie.
It's what, about 10 o'clock your time?
yeah, you guys too.
All right.
It's 10 after 11 here.
Thanks everybody for coming in and the ones that hung around for all this time. I appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Sadie. I enjoyed having you on.
Thank you, friend.
So everybody have a great.
Same here. I appreciate it.
And don't forget about Chick Picker's show tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time on her channel. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.